Yo, what's happening? I got pointed at. That means we live. Good evening. Welcome to another session of Hope. This is going to be one of those classes. Not like we ain't been really giving you our best work every week, but I feel like tonight we're going to take a couple little turns to try to understand, just have deeper meanings about certain topics. So I'm hella excited about tonight. I'm taking it sort of slow through the slides, and there's going to be a lot of talking, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot of engagement. So forgive. Well, you'll see. Let's get it started. All right. We are the wayfinders. That's another word for being an entrepreneur. We're the wayfinders. And I think if you shift psychology to yourself as a wayfinder, more so than I'm a boss or I'm an entrepreneur, it loosens up. It loosens up your tightness and control about how you're gonna get there. You're wayfinders. Nice. So the example of that, if you think about the people who explored the water to try to find land, they did not look where they wanted to look, or where they thought they felt comfortable looking, or where there wasn't danger, or what they had to find the way to find the land. And that's what we are. We're wayfinders. As entrepreneurs, that takes all the status off of it. It takes the currency of the status off of what we do. Now you're humble to the game. I've been on too many calls this week. I've been on too many calls this week with too many entrepreneurs who caught in a motherfucking ego.
Come on, man.
And so tonight, this is kind of a venting session here. Get the fuck out your ego. We're not like all the people you see on TV or on Instagram who talk a lot about entrepreneurship. Let's play Big Bank, take Little Bank. Against my entrepreneur friends who really ain't tripping off shit like that because they into the work. So, and how they view it, how they view this game is we're wayfinders. Here's an example. There's tons of examples, but we're going to go through a couple of them. Well, here's one. You think about, let's just take something simple as an artist who really wanted to make a particular kind of music to a particular crowd. He'd been making music for years, 5, 6, 7 years, album after album, and everything so far has been crickets, right? And just in a fun night, he decides to make something more upbeat, something that has a different genre flavor to it. Song takes off. Number 1, goes platinum. There's a lot of artists that will go still in the direction they want to go because that's not what they want to do. Not knowing that they found the way. They found the way, but it's not their way. And so that's why inside of here it says your way versus the way. Because a lot of us will die on the vine doing shit our way. And the way is sitting right next to them. Or they experience the way in a brief moment, in a brief flash. Whether you got a restaurant, whether you got a gym, anything. A lot of you have experienced brief flashes of the way. But because it wasn't your way, you didn't want to do it.
Come on, man.
That's crazy.
Come on, bro.
And here's the cold part. I've been there. My ego's been there. Y'all know. Y'all know when I didn't have a car, motherfuckers, my partners tried to give me a free car. I said, what kind is it? Because if it's not a BMW, I don't want it. I only drive BMWs. What kind of shit is that? That is a major case of my way versus the way. So in entrepreneurship, you have to learn the difference. And if the way happens to also be your way, you hit the lottery. That's dope. You hit the lottery. But 99% of us, that's not how the game goes. You got to find the way. It's the equivalent of being blind, being blind with the bucket of water, with a bucket trying to get under the waterfall, but you can't see. So you have to go off the feel, right? Soon you feel the mist, right? Mist is a clue. Man, this is okay. So, am I getting closer? Am I getting further away? Is it warm, hot? It was the sound. I hear the sound is getting stronger. You're looking for the way, not your way. We ain't that smart like that. We're not that smart. You know how tough it is to build some shit? How tough it is to build something? It's tough as fuck. And for some of y'all to sit there and say, I only want to blow up and be a millionaire or billionaire by doing it this way only, man, that's the craziest shit I ever heard. But I hear it all the time. Come on, bro. Gotta stop. Like, I don't know if anybody told you, but you ain't that fucking dope. You're not. None of us are. I was just listening. I fell in love with this song recently by this Indian dude in India. That shit slaps so hard. His name is Humankind, right? Mm-hmm. Humankind just came out with a song. It's at 44 million views on YouTube right now. 44 million. It came out like last week. And he's an Indian cat in India. That shit slaps so hard. So I watched the interview with him in Bumby, and they said, man, what's next? Like, what's next for you? And he's like, shit, I don't know. We didn't think that song was going to do that. We just was putting out another song. Like, I've been rapping for a long time. Like, what? Yeah, I had no idea that would do what it did. So we don't know what to do next. But you found the way. You found your pattern. You found the way the beat drops. You found your rhythm, your cadence, your changes, your look. You found it. Stay in that pocket. Tweak in that pocket. Have you an amazing feedback loop that around people who keep it absolutely real with you, and you're gonna win. Like, many of us quit shit, stop doing it. So there's some people who are super talented at a certain thing, but it's too easy for them, so they want to do something over here. But your way, God gave you your way right here. Yeah, but I don't have no fun doing it. Wait, what? But it's the way. It's the way, though. Yeah, you know what? I'm 6'9", hella athletic. I can close my eyes and make buckets all day, but I just don't like basketball. I want to be a rapper. Wait, what? How about get your money? How about get some money? How about create your ecosystem? It sounds hella dumb, but in business I hear it all the time. Why you stop doing that? Man, it was just boring. But everybody was lined up for that. Yeah, but I wanted to write scripts. Have you ever wrote scripts? No, but that's what fuels me. That's what gives me. Man, I don't want to talk to you no more.
Killing the game.
Man, like this is nothing moves outside of this until we understand these concepts. The way versus your way. And it's so simple. The concept and the logic is so simple, but our ego has us fucked up so bad that the people around us will hype us up and tell us, man, follow your dreams, girl. Follow what's in your heart. Follow what's in your heart. Not in the entrepreneurship class. Not here. We're going to tell you that's the dumbest shit you ever did. It's the dumbest shit you ever did. Who told you to do that? My best friend. My mom. So, like, that is the dumbest shit. You saying my mom is dumb? In that particular sense, yes. In that situation, yes. Your mama was dumb. I'm serious, respectfully. Because guess what happens if you find the way? Guess who you can take care of? If you have the way in your hands and you throw it away over your ego and what you feel good doing, you can't take care of your mom. So this is a huge intersection that we come up against. And I ain't gonna lie, I had like 4 of these conversations between last week and this week, and it was the same shit. So I asked them a question, and all 4 got quiet. Let's go to the next slide.
Let's start with your way. How is your way working for you?
All that chatter stopped, got quiet fast. How's your way working for you? How is your way working for you? Like, there's a song out there from Frank Sinatra, right? Called I Did It My Way. It's a beautiful song, right? It's a beautiful song. But that shit ain't real. It's a song. It's a song, because in order for him to even be in the music game, you had to do it the record label's way. You had to do it the audience's way. You had to dress how the industry wanted you to dress. You had to hang around and associate and do concerts other people's way. It's just a song. Just a song. There ain't no way that you can do it all the way your way. So when the fuck you gonna get out your way and stop trying to do it your way to find no way? It's the only way.
Question from online. So are you saying people should do things for monetary gain that they have no kind of passion for? How is that different from having a well-paying job?
Okay, so there's a chapter coming up about passion, right? Ego is the Enemy, the book that we've all read, talks about passion. Passion has its place. A lot of us are in the lanes we are in because we have some passion for something, right? Photography, marketing, fitness, apparel. Starts with a little bit of passion. That's the lane I want to get in, right? So there's no void of having some passion. We're all here doing things that passion fueled the direction in which we wanted to go. But once you step foot into this arena, you have to quiet that passion all the way down so you can have clarity. A lot of times, if you hold on to passion, that is what keeps people trying to do shit their way. You know, over passionate people's favorite word? But.
You are funny today.
But, listen, why are you doing, but you should probably do, but that's probably not a good idea. Well, but, why the fuck you spend, but, and it's some emotional ass, passionate ass story. We business. We in our we a business. So here's the deal. Have you ever been homeless? Have you ever been homeless? Let's talk. Let's go real. She talking about having a good ass job. Has anybody ever been homeless? No place to live. No food in the refrigerator. Straight nothing. I have. That shit sucks. Shit sucks. So in that, and you know why me personally, I spent out of the 4 years I was down bad, probably good two and a half, 3 that I could have not been down bad. You know why I was? Passion, ego, and my way. My way. Because I was a millionaire prior to that. I'm cocky as fuck. I did it my way. 31-year-old young black man, East Oakland, from East Oakland with million? What? Can't tell me nothing. And I did it my way. So when the market changed and things shifted in the industry and I needed to do it the other way to stay in business, guess what? I wanted to do it my way. So guess what happened to my bank account? Crashed. Guess how long my stubbornness lasted? A good 2.5 years. I'm still waiting for my way to start working. So my wife at the time, ex-wife, was like, bruh, your way ain't working. What the fuck is we gonna do? The refrigerator empty. No. You see what I done did? I done built. I did it my way, so we're gonna keep doing it my way because it's gonna work. See, you don't believe in me. My way. So I my wayed myself to a fucking skinny ass stomach, right? Hungry ass to an empty refrigerator, a foreclosed house, losing everything my way. Hey, you know what? There's some people, especially us black men, man, I don't give a fuck. I'd rather die doing it my way than win doing it the white man's way. That's the dumbest shit ever. Josh snapping over there. I'm gonna slap the shit out of him.
Josh, black people don't like snaps.
Y'all do that. Y'all do that every time someone says something you agree with.
Anyways,
You people.
do you there's a lot of us out there that will rather die poor, be poor right now, and be broke right now because of their way versus the other folks' way or another way. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm not roasting you, because I used to be one of them. Mm-hmm. Josh, don't say nothing crazy.
Serious. I was reading today, speaking of the way, 70% of McDonald's sales are through drive-through, but they started as a dine-in chain. The only reason the drive-through came about was that on army bases, soldiers couldn't leave the premises without being in fatigues, so McDonald's created drive-through windows to be able to serve them so they didn't have to leave their car. So they ended up dominating the fast food game unintentionally, just like that Indian guy you were talking about.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about a lot of examples before tonight's over, but that's a good one. So again, we got to shake that mentality. We got to shake it. The first question you got to ask yourself to start to shake it, to unravel it, is how is my way working for me? Let's go to the next slide.
There we go.
Next slide.
There we go. How much longer are you willing to do it your way?
Okay, first of all, how long have you been doing it your way? What's your sample size of time? And we're going to talk about some grit or quit stuff later down the line, but we preempting this now. How long are you willing to continue to do it your way? If the answer to the previous slide is my shit ain't working, my ego and my pride is all telling me on both sides of my ear that we should trust the process. See, we get confused sometimes by some of these slogans that will have us doing shit for years and years and years and years. Your prime years, your subprime years, then you tired and worn out, and you've been gone through the gauntlet of life, and you ain't got a lot left no more. All because you decided to do shit your way. We are pivoters. We are way finders. We're way finders. How many people, be honest, you lose some shit in your house, your keys. Fuck, where's my keys at? Let me go check the place that I normally put my keys. Maybe it's a desk. Go down, look at the desk, it's not there. Then you start looking at other places. How many people in that search go back one more time to look at the desk? For fucking what? How many people found it and be like, you know what? There you are. It don't happen almost never. It's because that's a form of insanity. We're pivoters. We're wayfinders. We gotta find a way. And if this ain't working, then I'm gonna do this. If this ain't working, I'm doing something else. If this isn't working, I'm making another minor tweak. If this isn't working, I'm consulting somebody who did it. If this isn't working, I'm doing research. I'm reading. I'm upgrading my mental software. I'm always improving. I'm backing up. I'm introspecting. I'm micro, macro, meta. I'm doing everything that I can to find different options for different ways. You're right.
So it's so funny. I was having a conversation with a client of mine that works like high up in corporate, so they have to do like a lot of structural changes, scaling, thinking out. And in the last 10 years of having my brick and mortar, a lot of it was my way, and then like there'd be points where I'd have to deviate to adjust to the market, or I'd hire more team members and then I'd have to completely deviate, but then I'd always like find my way back to like a comfort space. And I'm curious to, like, now I have a team of 9 people, which I'm so overwhelmed with, but I know if I keep growing, I'm gonna have to have a team of 20, 30, 40 people. And so I'm really trying to break the habit of my way. This is a great way of framing it, and like figure out what type of systems need to be put in place to even measure, like, is it working? Because I feel like that's such a suggestive question. Based on what? Based on what standards? How are you measuring yourself? How often are you checking in? Like, what are your... I feel like I still am considered a small business, but I'm consistently growing, and I sometimes just get lost with like knowing like when I should deviate, how I should deviate, how fast, like what I should try, especially if my way is not yielding the desired result, but I don't know what is the result, and I like consult with people in my industry, no one can really tell you what to do. They can just kind of give you things to look into, and then you got to go figure it out and play with it. But like as a entrepreneur that's in it right now, that has so many strings moving, like it sounds simple, but it feels like it's so much more complicated than that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That is all we do. Anytime anyone offers you help, they don't know all the intricacies in your business. You have tons of moving parts, right? Tons. So from an outside perspective, all we can do is offer you options for other ways. And sometimes it may seem brilliant, but it's actually just a basic alternative to a different route. Now, you also mentioned a great point, is that a lot of times we have a goal set and we go from us to the goal. This is how I'm going to get to this goal. And that rarely, if ever, works. Because if you're really looking at this game like a wayfinder, you're also thinking from the place of the goal. If I'm this goal, what's in front of me? What do I have to look like? How am I attracting these customers? What am I doing? What does a person who achieves this goal look like? What comes with it? And work your way backwards all the way to you. And you'll find that when you do that a lot of times, the way and your way is completely opposite, or way over here, or you was way off. But most of us think, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to pray. And me and God is going to do it regardless of whether the actual way is over there. And God says the answer to the prayer is you're going to keep having to bump your head until you release your ego and start finding and looking for the way. There's tons of businesses as examples that started off one thing and they ended up doing another thing, making billions. We talked about it. Samsung, that we always joke with each other about back and forth, like they started off making like washing machines. Something basic like a washing machine. Hyundai was making something stupid like a tire or like a knife set. And over time, they found glitches and holes in the market and said, I could do that. Let me try this. Let me move over. And you say, well, I'm only your way. This is where I'm going. But if I sit in this room for 4 years and not one customer shows up, or it's barely nothing, or I'm barely surviving, or I ain't eating, I'm hella hungry, I'm going to look for another way. Where's my other areas of strength that I'm overlooking, that I'm tripping, that I can go easily get a bag or start some momentum to get a bag? We gotta get out our ego. How much longer? Fucking how much longer? You know what I'm passionate about? One of the things, and I have to temper my passion, or else I get lost in it. And that's seeing other black folks win. Man, I love to see. Man, I love to hear stories of black folks winning, especially if they came from where I come from, or places like where I come from. And I can't dive deep into it as much as I want to because I got shit to do. I got bigger shit to do. I don't get paid from it. But that shit, like when I hear shit, it's so clear to my ears what the issue is, and the person can't see it. They stuck in it. And how is that working out for you? And how much longer, meaning how many more years of your life and stress and frustration do you want to spend on this bullshit? Call me when you're ready. Call me when you're ready. Because life gets hard as fuck from this point forward. And I'll tell you why. But first we're gonna do something different. How many Christians we got in here? People who believe in Jesus. 1, 2-ish, 3-ish, 4-ish. All right. We're gonna do some. This stage, just out of respect for Pastor Chris, I'm not gonna cuss for the next 10 minutes. Because we're gonna talk about some Bible stuff. Now, if you grew up like me in the church, you heard scriptures all the time, right? Passed through, you had scriptures all the time. But there are scriptures in the Bible that if you would just read them and listen to them, they will tell you how to be an amazing entrepreneur. They'll tell you how to win as a business person. And it's funny once you read it again. And if you're a Christian and you be in church every Sunday, I'm not a Christian, but if you're a Christian, you be in church, if you listen to it and sometimes you apply it from an entrepreneurial perspective, you'll realize this is the game I need. Let's start with, so we're gonna go through a couple scriptures. I'm not a pastor, so Chris, I'm a broke version of that. But we gonna dive into it to show you how simple some of this stuff is.
I don't know what you come to do, but I come to praise the name.
Let's go to the first one. All right. Now, next slide.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
Go ahead, sister.
Yeah.
Sister Shabisha.
Listen, I just want y'all to know, if Chamara is watching this, she coming.
He's preaching. I'm not doing it. You can't talk about me this time.
Ephesians 5:17. Therefore, do not be foolish,
Well,
but understand what the will of the Lord is. This is very weird.
Can I get an amen?
Oh, I don't know. I got that off the internet. So does it have anything to do with your will? Your will. So if you do things out of your will, what does that make you? Foolish. Foolish. Makes us foolish. Any human who thinks that they little 30, 40 years on a planet that's been here for thousands, that they can just maneuver and they're that dope that they can get to the top of the pile and then a 1% off of their will. Crazy. Lost your mind. Next one.
Psalms 25:9. He leads the humble in what is right and teaches the humble his way.
Whose way? Whose way? Not your way. Not teaches the humble how to do better in their way. They're saying your way is irrelevant in this moment. It's this way. So none of us know the way. When are we going to get that under our skin? As black folks, we ain't got the way. There's somebody who found the way. Let's get over there and find it. So he teaches the humble his way. It's God's way. Next one.
We don't want no devils in the house.
Yes, Lord. Right now. How can I say? Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own
Come on, blood. Come on, blood. Do not lean on your own understanding. That means your understanding is effed up. I didn't say it. Our understanding What we think is logical to us, and what we think is good, and what we think is right, and what we think it ain't right.
Gang, come on, get gang.
So we can't even lean on it, even if it feels right, even if we want to do. We can't lean on it. That means if you lean on, we can't touch on it. So you can replace Lord, if all the non-Christians, you can replace Lord
Universe.
with the universe, with game, with the way, whatever you want. The market. If you're an entrepreneur, you're sitting back like, whoa, man. Let's keep going.
Isaiah 55:8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord.
That's God's version of the Not Like Us song with Kendrick Lamar. He's saying, me and you ain't on the same level at all. We ain't in the same category. So stop trying to act like me or act like we, when he was telling a story when Josh first met Nana, and Josh was like, I can shoot just like you. I'm probably just as good as you. No, you not.
Yes, you did.
You not. Our brain tells us we think we are, but we ain't. Once we release our shoulders, the feeling when you release your shoulders, that means I quit. All right. You right. Fuck it. That's saying I surrender my will, my way, my knowing, my all that to your way, your version. Mm-hmm. That's how you win.
That's how you win every time.
That's how you win. Next slide.
Philippians 4:13.
It's the last one. We're going to get out of church soon, but this is the last one.
I can do all things through him who strengthens
Through who?
him who strengthens
Not
me.
through yourself. So you can do a little things through yourself. You can do a few things through yourself. You can do basic things through yourself. You can survive a lot of times through yourself. But when you're talking about all things, it's not through you no more. You ain't even in there. It's through him. And you can replace him, for the non-Christians in here, with all those other terms. Get out your way. Get out your will. Stop it. It ain't gonna work. And if you don't believe me, look at your own shit. How long has it not been working? Stop. Stop. I'm tired of y'all shit.
Come on, bro. Keep that shit 100.
Because I want to see you win. I want to see you win. Stop playing. You got this. You're smart as fuck, intelligent, talented. But somebody, or your hurt or your pain, seized up your ego in a way that makes you think that your way is the only way.
Come on.
So then I got to watch over time you crash and burn.
Come on.
I got hella scars from doing that shit. I'm hard-headed too. But once I start listening, opens up the world, opens up the game in a way that you'll never understand. You'll never understand. Next slide.
The most painful thing to watch is people who are stuck in their ways but want to fulfill their purpose.
Come on, bro.
That shit hurts to watch. That's why. One of the times I cried in the car. I fucking cried in the car off somebody else being stubborn on their shit because it made me flashback to when it was me. Fuck, I was a dumbass. And I was like, damn, I don't have the words to give it to him. I wish I had the mouthpiece that can make the person switch over and be like, you know what? That's right. I'm going to not do it right now. I just don't have the words. I wasn't good enough. So I'm like, well, shit, you got to feel this then. You got to feel this, and you're going to feel some pain. I tried, bro. I wish I had the words. But we could change. It's not over. We could change. We're young enough. We're smart enough. We're strong enough. Shit can change just off. Maybe my way is just not it. Who has a way? Who's done it in a way that's similar to where I want to be? Could I sit down and talk to you? You know what I did? After my 4.5 years of being stubborn as fuck, I went and worked for somebody who had a business that I wanted. And took the lowest position in the job. Sat there and soaked up all kind of game. Damn it, that's what I was doing wrong. That's what I was doing wrong too. What software is that? What program is that? What? This is how he's negotiating. This is how I'm learning all the gaps and the holes that I had to prepare me to start again. I told y'all, and I interned for a whole year, meaning I worked for free for somebody. My own gas, my own everything. But I'm soaking game. That shit was, I got it. Or at least I got enough of it. I tore off that. I was the kind of broke that when I walked in a room, you would think I was still the richest person in the room. And I got an EBT card in my wallet. Because I had this air about me that I'm good. What's up, Court? You good? I'm good. I ain't ate all day.
Wow.
Damn.
You need anything? I'm good. I don't need nothing. Because I'm willing to die on my shit than ask another man for anything. That's a man. I used to say, when people were like, why don't you ask for help? I would say, if as a man, I can't make shit build for myself, then that's a natural selection. I don't even need to be here. That's a Darwin Award. I'm a Darwin Award. Just kill me off. And it was so like, damn, feels good. It sounds good to say. You willing to do it, but it's the dumbest shit. We're not here to be independent. We're not here to be alone. We're not here to be standing on my 10 toes by myself. I'm self-made. Stupid shit. We're a collaborative people. We're here to say, hey, I got water. You got food? I'll give you half my water. You give me some of your food. You got seeds? Oh, cool. I'll give you a little bit of my seeds. And now we planting stuff. We got water. We got food. Hey, I got music. I know how to play an instrument. What? All right, when we done eating, we gonna sit around the fire and you play. Now we enjoying life. We're collaborative people. You die in a vine. So it's, man, do you need help? I need help. And if I built up enough nerve to call you for help, I'm not gonna fucking posture.
Come on.
Like I still got my shit together.
Come on, bro.
Bro, well then why you calling me?
Come on, bro. Come on, man. Lob it up, bro.
Hey, what's up? Hey, you know, man, like, I'm doing big things. We doing big things, you know, but you know, it's a couple little things, but we doing big things.
Come on, bro.
What? Give me the real. When I call, I'm like, hey, this is what happened. This is fucked up. I did this. He did this. Let's get it out. Let's get it out.
I read the diary.
I'm not prefacing it. I'm not, what's the most professional way to say this so that they don't judge me by how, no, because the moment that you are in it is probably what you need and where your error is so you can be discovered. It can be discovered.
Right.
Man, I'm telling you.
Come on, that's so common.
I cried in a car. Man, and because I won't describe the exact, but he was making money doing X, taking care of his one child doing X, and he quit doing X because it was boring and wasn't his passion, and jumped into doing Y and been broke for the last 4 years.
Come on, I know a couple of stories.
What? And because this feels like him being a slave, he was not going to do X, even though he's naturally good at it. And I couldn't convince him. I tried every illustration in my arsenal bag. Tried to be funny. I tried to threaten him. I tried to do all kind of shit.
Funny to threaten it though? It's pretty funny to threaten them.
So it's painful. That's why I put this slide here. It's painful to watch. Fuck. It's like I lost my nephew. January. I was on a retreat with Nana and them. And I loved my nephew. Loved him. My nephew was a brilliant mind, but a street dude. Mm-hmm. And he was smart enough to not be in the streets. Smart enough. He had that kind of intelligence. He didn't have to, because he can finesse any kind of system. He was intelligent. He could, hard worker, but he just had a lot he was carrying. So he was just navigating in all them places. And when his dad, my brother, died, I said, I got you. I got you. You gonna ride with me. And so over time we start doing this because philosophies and just, we ain't cool. Like, that ain't cool what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just gonna sit you down for a little bit so you can learn some lessons. And in that sit down, he died on some real street shit. And I took it to heart for like, damn, it was my fault. I promised my brother that I got him. But you know how many talks we had? You know how many talks, hour-long talks we had about this? Hell of them. Nobody can force nobody to do nothing. If you want to do it your way, man, I wish you the best. So I had to come to a realization and to an agreement with myself that I did the absolute best that I could, and that was a grown-ass man. And as much as I love him, and as much as I try to hold him and I can't. But I'm just keeping it easy. Stop doing it your way. Next slide. There you go. Next slide. So before we leave this topic, any questions? Can I help you understand something any better? All right. All right. Now, we're going to go into the book now. Next slide. So let's talk about fight, flight, or freeze responses. So last week we talked a little bit about the stimulus and response. Y'all remember that? Stimulus and response. And the goal as an entrepreneur is to space out stimulus and response. Have a rhythm or routine that helps you space out stimulus and response so it gives you time to think before you say some shit. My go-to is meditation. If I meditate on a regular basis, I'm calmer and I got time. So if you say some shit, I got time to choose the best response. I don't meditate. Goes like this. And I get real snappy, real quick. And emotions fire through me. Real fucking passionate. Like fiery. And that's not good in business. It's not good in business. So, because you have to make the best decision. And as you scale, the amount of fuckery and slick shit that occurs, you'll always have a smorgasbord of it. So I'm at 22 employees right now. So there's not a day that goes by that there's not some weird fuckery by somebody, whether verbally, emotionally, somebody crying in the back. So my go-to response is shut the fuck up and stop acting like a bitch. But I can never say that. So I have to use that energy to say, what's the best thing to say to this person in this moment? Shakina.
All right, look, I would literally die without my business would die without this class, right? Like I'm not even being. I'm like hood New York chick, like at my core. As much as I try to glam it up, I'm like I'll beat your ass. Like that's the core of me. And I worked a lot and meditated and I work out every day and I do my martial arts so I don't got to punch people in the street in the face. I get to punch people that line up in front of me so I don't got to go to jail, you know? I find my things. I do my things. But there is like, okay, so I went from being a sole proprietor and just me being the business for like 5-6 years. It was just me. Then I hired a single person. Then I hired another one. And so it is so crucial for me to have hope because I can show up in my fullness. Sometimes, like all of me is acceptable here. So I don't have to like keep my shadows in the corner. I could be like, yo, I'm fucked up. This is where I'm at today. This is what triggered me. This is why I got hooked here. I can see it in hindsight. I'm trying to get it before it happens, etc. It's so frustrating to like know all these like psychological hacks, know all the shit that I'm supposed to work on, like have essentially like, I know like the map is not the terrain, but like, you know, a map of like, all right, when A, B, C, D, E, F, G happens, these are all your options, like working on optionality. And I've been coached and learned and trained to just hear real shit. Like nobody babysits my feelings when they're talking to me about business. They'll just be like, all right, now go do it. And I'll be like, all right. But then I have staff or I have people that I have to work with or like all like 73 clients. And it's so hard to balance. Like, I just want to talk to them how I get talked to because it's direct, it's fast, you rip the Band-Aid off and it's fucking done. And there's no questions, there's no gray, it's black or white. Shut the fuck up, fuck your feelings. That's how I get talked to about my business. But then I got to go into work and I got to be like, you're here and you need to go here. If I tell you to just go here, you're not going to go here. So what are the 50,000 different ways that I can tell you to go here and which one's not going to set you off? How the hell do you balance that? Because at scale, like I think that that's why I have decided to stay small all these years. Like I will get to a certain point and then I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with that many people that sensitively. I'm gonna just tell you something that's gonna hurt your feelings and it's gonna damage my reputation. So I have this much bandwidth to manage because it feels so overwhelming. It almost feels like code switching as a business owner where I'm like, I have to have this direct line of feedback where people can tell me real honest stuff without me personalizing it. But then when I have to go and give structure to my team, I can't just be like, this is what we're doing, this is why at this dissipation. It's always like so freaking political. And I really am struggling with like how to balance both worlds because it feels like two completely separate worlds.
It is. And it's two separate worlds. It's an input world and an output world. It's branding, it's marketing, it's operations. So input means what tools do you need in order for you to be a great business person? And what tools do they need? What tools do they need to operate in order for them to be optimal in their business? So it's a systems thing for you. And you got to take your emotions completely out of it. You're going to feel it. But you also know that anytime you engage emotionally with 10 people, then it's a recipe for disaster. That's your input. You have to come up with a system. I was telling somebody the other day about, I said, how many ex-hood, ex-felons, hood dudes you know work at Tesla?
A lot.
I know hell of them. A lot of them, right? They still at Tesla now. So how dope of a system do you have to create that's so cookie cutter that as soon as you enter into the system, all your fuckery doesn't even matter anymore? That's the psychology. So if it's a systems problem. So once you create a system that is so fine-tuned that they can, once they get in, they don't have room to move. Now, it takes a lot of training, a lot of growing, a lot of education, a lot of patience as a leader. And then as a leader, you're creating leaders so that the leaders are doing it just like you're doing it. Over time, the leaders are doing it as much as you're doing it, and then they're policing the system. That's the system. So now over time, you remove yourself from the front line of the system. Because here's the deal. As entrepreneurs, when we're building, the truth is we're a little crazy. Matter of fact, we're a lot crazy. We're a lot crazy. Hella crazy. So the kind of crazy that don't need to be around a whole bunch of people like that. Because my crazy and Nana's crazy and all my other entrepreneur crazy, we're normal. So, and our normal is fuck your feelings. I don't give a fuck. Well, my cousin, I don't care. Take radical responsibility. That's all higher level thinking. That's entrepreneurial thinking. That shit does not exist at other realms. So now you can train up managers to think similar to that philosophy. You can grow some of your team to get close to that. But the type of work that you put in to get where you are, imagine all the work you put in, Shakina, to get where you are. And you admit that you still psychologically be fucking up in how you thinking and be. Now, you bring an employee in who's 19 and never read a book. And you expect them to be able to absorb. That's an assumption. Stop crying. I don't give a fuck. Ain't gonna work. So that's also having understanding and consciousness to know how to feed. And it's a ramp. Over time, you're like, man, I know you know this shit. Get out your ego. But they got to know what ego is. They got to read the book. They got to be practicing. There's a ramp. So fight, flight, freeze. Who's a fighter in this motherfucker?
I'm all of them.
Shabisha, you better raise your hand.
I'm all of them, I
Okay.
said.
Yep. I seen you, Shabisha. Who's a runner? Any runners?
All of us got to run in it. I got to run in it.
Who freezes? Who freezes?
Everybody freezes.
Does anybody is anybody conscious enough to know the people who raise their hand 3 times, at what moments they do what things? Who would like to start? Habasur?
When you think about it later and you review the tapes,
Now this is dope right here.
that's when I realize it. You know, there's my natural reaction is to fight, but that's not always the right play. When I think about other situations, I could see how I've used flight. You know, didn't return a call, didn't follow up with somebody, knowing I should. I know that's the right play. I see the email blaring right in my face, and I'm like, not in the mood for this. That's that flight. And then the freeze, especially around finances over the past, I have frozen. You see it, you know, it's like, I don't even want to open that letter. I know what's in there. You know, that part right there is something that I've worked on a lot, especially over the last 2 years. You know, coming to grips with like, I know I don't want to see it. Got to file these taxes. You know, and then when they bust you upside the head, it's like, well, I took it head on. I had to deal with it. The number is there. I know it's 20,000 for 22 and 30,000 for 23. I mean, it is what it is, right? Now, because I've understood that behavior, now I'm able to look at it and say, okay, now I can start thinking about what's going on with my expenses. Who can I call to help me understand how I can improve this stuff? But if I still did the freeze, you know, I wouldn't even have had gas money to get over here tonight. I've been on YouTube in the comment section talking about, yep, you right.
Hey, that's dope. Who's next? Shabisha, then Shaquem. Go ahead. You can go ahead. Then Shabisha, then Shaquem.
My name's Obatala.
What's up, my brother?
It's good. I think for me, my big thing is with the fight, and fight definitely comes when there's a conflict of like my ego and I can't do things my way. Like I have like a food business, and I'm always catch myself like wanting to fight the health department. And like that's like a big thing, and it's like it's all ego. Like I'm just thoroughly pissed off that it doesn't work the way I think it should work, and it pisses me off. And so like you know, so working towards that, it's like I know I can't win. You know, it's like I know if I don't work with the health department, I'm stuck doing breweries. Like I can't do any big festivals without going through the health department. So it's one of those things where it's a losing thing. And then it's funny when I laughed when you put up the first slide about how's it working for you, because that's something that I was talking to my mom about the other day, where I was like, I need to pivot because nothing I'm doing is working. Like I don't got no results. Like, you know, like I got a business, I'm not thriving. Like, you know, like so we had a good season in the low. And so like that's one place where I'm working on like sort of the fight response, understanding that a lot of my fights be stupid and wasting my time.
Yo, that's
like I
dope.
can't grow a food business and fight the health department. Like
Thanks
that's
for saying that.
that's foolish. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, that's foolish. And then on the other end, on the freeze end, freezing for me comes from like a fear of making mistakes and a fear of disappointment. So it's like when I freeze, it's because I know or I assume I'm in the wrong and I ain't ready to deal with it. And that's when I freeze. That's when, whether it's like a relationship or whether it's like even more things with like business, like certain emails that should be answered that weren't answered. You feel me?
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You freeze.
Exactly. I just stuck there, and then there have been times where it's like, you know, you freeze, and then like something that you were worried about fades away, and like, but that's I'm an adult. I can't deal with shit like that no more. You feel me? Like, especially if it was worth engaging with in the first place.
Right.
So yeah, I don't really do much flight. Like I'm either a statue or a boxer.
That was fire. Thank you, Shabisha, and then Shakina.
Fight is usually around, I think you're trying to play me. Don't do that. Don't do that. If I think you're trying to play me, or I think you're trying to put me in a position where you thought you had me over a barrel, like I can't get out, it's not good. It's not good. Or you're challenging my authority for some reason. Like me, I have cousins who are 6 and 7 years older than me. And at this point, I don't really want to hear nothing about who's the oldest. I don't give a shit. So when they have conversations about like we all supposed to do something, and it's two and they're sisters and they're a year apart, and they will always hit me with, well, I'm the oldest. Last time I checked, when I go to pay my rent, my name on that. See, I almost said a swear word. Right? So this is the other part. Like, nah, I'm not really good with that. Like with this whole, like that doesn't work very well for me. Flight is like, emotions are acknowledging that I have emotions is a new thing for me. we're a few years in.
Yes, I know this.
Okay, we're a few years into this, right? And wonderful, but I am still learning to be okay with other people having emotions, and that's not going to mean something to me. So in the past, it's definitely a childhood thing. Somebody's starting to talk loud, somebody feels to get their ass whooped, somebody's starting to talk loud, somebody feels to start fighting, raising voices, somebody feels to start shooting, like any of that. So for me, it was like, I don't go over there. I don't go over there, and I don't be around people who do these kinds of things, because that means this, right? So my stimulus to response on that is like, I'm out, and I would just not engage people altogether if you were not even, which nobody is. And so it just made my circle very small, and it didn't give you a whole lot of room with me, right? And super trust issues. I don't know. I'm gonna see how you gonna do when you get upset. What do? You start flipping off? Do I got to fight every time we go out with you? Because I ain't doing that. Like, I have a lot of that. And then freeze is definitely like financial, or if I don't think I can trust myself in the situation. If I feel like I'm going to go to violence, and I'm feeling like I can't get to my options, like I don't feel good about how I'm in this place, it's one of the few times where I just collapse. And it was like, I don't know, I guess if I just sit still, it'll stop. Or it won't escalate. So like advocating for myself and like telling you how I feel in the situation so that we can stay in the moment is a thing that I'm really, really learning. Because if I don't like something, like violence is the thing I knew. So if I don't want us, like it doesn't need to be this, I just need to figure out a way to express what's going on with me. Yes, I can be frustrated, or yes, I might not like it, but conscious leadership is very helpful. So I practice that a lot, because otherwise I just let it I freeze and then I'm resentful.
Fire. Shakina?
Okay, so my ace and Kun, I'm fighter first, primary response. And I think that flight and freeze come to me when I'm afraid or when I'm trying to protect something. Fighting is my natural nature because I just grew up fighting for everything, like what I stood for, to protect myself, my grounds and whatnot. I find that at the core of all things, no matter what it is, when I'm fighting, I am trying to protect my perception of value or worth for myself when it boils down to it. In any situation, if it's for my business or my kids or my family or my friends, if I'm in a fighting stance, I'm like, you're trying to challenge my worth or my value. I will go into instant fight mode for that. For flight, I feel like I tend to go into flight mode because it's kind of contradictory, but because I've been in environments where I have to constantly fight. I don't like it. So I try to avoid conflict at all costs, to the point where I just won't talk to you if I feel like you're a high conflict person, because I have too much stress in my life. So I'm going to just, oh, girl, I got a puzzle. I got a book. You know, my garden, I ain't watered my plants in 2 days. You know, like, I'm a homebody. I'm really good by myself because I know I'm not going to cause myself stress or break anything. So you could not see me for a whole month. You're like, what's wrong with Shakina? Oh, I'm good, baby. I'm out here meditating, skin glowing, gut healthy. Like, I'm good because I don't like conflict, because I've had to be in such a high conflict thing. So when I'm going into flight mode, it's usually because I am in an attempt to protect my peace. It's usually a balance seeking thing. And then for freeze is funny because freeze is usually like trying to not make something break. And what I mean by that is, definitely when Yapasu said finance, I'm like, oh yeah, I freeze every time. I be like, okay, you can't run away and you can't fight this. You got to address this, but I need a minute. I need a minute to collect myself. If I make a bad decision, this shit is going to stack and it's going to hurt. We can't do nothing compounding when it comes to money. We just need a moment. But then with freezing also, it's kind of like when you go back to your classes about know thyself. At my core, I'm either finna fuck some shit up or I'm finna run away. And those typically aren't the answers. And so freezing happens when I'm trying to find clarity and I don't want to create damage. So I will just stop so that I can figure out what's the best decision.
Dope answers.
Online has when I'm uncertain or scared of an outcome, flight or freeze, kind of back and forth, and then fight when I want my way.
Yes. The first step in understanding how to manipulate these three is to know when it happens.
Come on, that's it.
The truthfulness of it. Now, my nature, I'm not a fighter. Naturally, I'm not. I'm naturally a freezer. So, at a very young age, I was exposed to my nature. 4 or 5 years old, I'm a freezer, statue. Shit hit the fan. I'm in a household like a motherfucking jungle, like war zone household. Like when shit hit the fan, there's 8 kids. Like everybody does their natural shit. You know what I'm saying? Some people jump in the fight. Some people run. Some people cleaning up. And I would just be like this, absorbing all the trauma, right? But I got trained to be a fighter. So I appear to be a fighter but it's not natural. It's from years and years of training from my family. So anytime I freeze, you get punched, get beat up. And so slowly I started training myself to unfreeze myself and do what everybody else do. Unfreeze myself and do it. So when in high school, like, man, Courtney be the first one to, that's not my nature though. It just, my natural habit is to freeze. But in a situation, my reflexes have gotten so sharp from training that it seems like I'm a fighter. I'm not. I don't like hurting people. I don't like fighting. I don't. But the training, it's like trauma. It's like PTSD. It's like when you hear it, you just naturally you just respond based on the training. So I had to learn. I used to think I was a fighter. Then I went all the way back to realize, because freezing shows up. Freezing shows up. And I'm thinking, why is freezing showing up when I'm a fighter? Nope, freezing's showing up because you're naturally a freezer. So once you know, really truly know thyself, When I don't want to hurt somebody that I care about, I run. That's my nature. When I don't want to hurt somebody that I truly care about with something I'm saying or something I'm doing, I disappear. So it seemed like I ghosted you, but really I didn't ghost you. I really care about you, and I don't want to say what I got to say, or I don't want to hurt you. It's the opposite. So I had to learn to confront that, to be like, nope. If you saw it, you got to say it. Hey, we gotta have an uncomfortable conversation. You know I care about you, right? But this is what it is. Being not kind or nice. So you can manipulate these three with practice. You can manipulate these three with practice. But you got to identify where your triggers are. Meaning if these three things just run your life, and you're like, that's just my nature. I'm fight, flight, or freeze. And you're going to do them all in the wrong times. You're going to do them in the wrong times, in the wrong context, in the wrong field, in the wrong moments. Remember, the key, this is an entrepreneurship class. So entrepreneurship says between stimulus and response, you have a choice. And as an entrepreneur, we have to make the best choices. So if you're ran by these three things and you think it's automatic and it's just God, the way God made you, then there's going to be times when you're going to have events that occur in your life where it was unnecessary and it has diminishing returns, like Nana taught, on your business, and it's going to affect your business. So you can't accept these three. You got to know when it happens. Damn, I write that shit down when it happens. Damn, I just froze when this happened. I just fought when this. And then as you write it down, you'll notice a pattern. You want to see my fight come out? Some unhealed shit? You want to see my fight come out? Viciously. Act like you bullying me.
Yep.
If I feel like you bullying me a little bit, you're trying to punk me a little bit, you're trying to over me a little bit, you're trying to like figuratively, literally, spiritually take my bike.
Yep. Yep.
I might try to kill you.
Yep.
That's not it. I might, like, that ain't healed yet. That ain't healed yet. Scott.
I want to make sure this thing is on. There's actually two more of these. There's please, like please, and flop. I can't remember what flop is, but you were talking about it and brought it up for me. I like to fight, like in my pastime. I like to fight. I fought a lot in school, and like I fight on a weekly basis now. So I try really not to fight people because I enjoy fighting, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But I often go to please or run. Like I'll if there's a situation, I'll be like, oh, I got to get space. I need to get like any type of interpersonal stress. I take on a form of running where I'm like, I need space to back it up so that I don't go to the fight instinct, but also I go to a please thing and I'll go to like, well, how do I solve for this solution? How do I figure out a win-win? And before it used to be not so good because I'd just be like, oh, well, how do I appease this person? They'll go away, they'll get off my back. Now I'm like, well, what is this person really asking for and what am I not solving for? But there's also the please component too, and flop. I think flop is when people just ghost and like play dead or something like that. But I don't know. But
Dope.
But you know how like people just ghost on you. You try to confront them in a situation and then they're just crickets for months. So I don't know.
Yep. Dope. Which is kind of a form of running. Last one. And then we out.
Just a quick question. So, like, these can be perceived as negative connotations or like negative responses that can hinder us. Is there a positive side? So, like, instead of fight, flight, freeze, is there like what I'll say more empowering side, like an opposite? So, like, instead of fight, like,
No, fight, flight, and freeze are good too in times where they need to be. Absolutely. There's times when you got to fight. And if you want to run when you're supposed to fight, come on. If there's times where you're supposed to freeze and not do anything, but instead you fight, you fucked up. When there's times where if you need to remove yourself from a situation because you know that if I don't remove myself, I might fight. See, you can manipulate these now to your advantage when you need to. No, they're not bad. They're just you don't want to be hooked by them. Naturally hooked by them. Yabasu. So they're all also absolutely necessary in times. If you backed in a corner, you're gonna be like freezing and they coming at you with a knife. I'm just gonna close my eyes and disappear. Hopefully they think I disappeared. No. You got to get down.
I just want to before I came here, I saw a news story about some mountain lions that are on some of the hiking trails in the East Bay. And at the end of the report, they said, whatever you do when you see a pack of mountain lions, don't run. They're like, back away slowly. And so I'm just listening like, you're like, when is it a good time to not run?
When some mountain lions coming for your Man, have anybody had to face their bullies? How did run work for you before that? Did freeze work for you? No, you had to get down. So it's all manipulative. It's just when your stimulus response is wide enough, you can think, what's the best play? What's the best play in this moment? I gotta fight. What's the best play in this moment? You know, I should back away. If your baby mama is tripping, right? I know people who like, why'd you put your hands on? Because she was tripping. Like, no, it's never a good idea to do that. Why don't you walk away, get your breath, calm down before you say something stupid? Like, you can use them all. You can use them all, but if you consciously use them versus being hooked by them, that's a difference. So we're going to continue on next week. And, yeah. Thank you. That's a recovery from the pause. That's the recovery from the pause.
Yeah. Okay. You redeemed yourself. Yeah. Hey, Tania, co-sister. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all how much we think alike. So I just want to say this real quick. Before those of you at home, those of you online, make sure you donate. We're gonna try to keep Hope free next year, but if the donations don't come in, then we have to go back to a paid model. Because at the end of the day, I definitely want to make sure we're always investing in entrepreneurs, that we don't become so charity focused that we stop solving for the challenges entrepreneurs are dealing with. So those of you at home, just make sure if you have an opportunity, press the donation button, participate in donation. So me and Court don't, It's on the YouTube page. If you click on the YouTube page beneath the, and you ask for more, there's an option for donation. So me and Court, we don't coordinate our classes at all. But I don't know if you guys been paying attention to this pattern that we always kind of cover the same shit. I want y'all to pay attention to how close this class is going to be. Now I'm going to break off in different directions because I have some things that's driving it. But I want you guys to see, like, we don't even talk about this. Like, he'll call me, we'll talk about other stuff, but we don't talk about, he may say, I'm going to talk about some stuff in class, but he don't say it's like how he's going to approach it or what he's going to use or how he's going to address it, and vice versa. I don't really do the same thing either. It's just kind of like, we just kind of upload our stuff, and then Danielle, with her amazing skills, she kind of designs the slides you guys are looking at, and to make sure that they're on brand. But it's not we're not aligning ourselves. So with that being said, let's go to the first slide. I can start without Shabisha, then when Shabisha gets back. So let me ask you a question: Who's the king of the jungle? Who's the king of the jungle? Lion, right? No, please don't try to get technical. It's lion, right? Somebody's like, well, the word jungle. The word jungle comes from another word which implies the terrain, or it's another word, but it's not necessarily the jungle. But the king of the jungle of all animals is a lion, correct? So, with the lion being the king, does the lion have the ability to control how the jungle actually functions? Does the lion define the behavior of the jungle? This goes back to what Court was saying. I'm just going to rush to the point. As human beings, we start to think we can control the jungle. But actually, the lion only survives if the lion learns to adapt to the jungle. The same thing applies as going back to his scriptures. In business, this is supposed to be my opening, but he just killed the whole thunder. So I'm just going to rush through it. But in business, it's not for us to control, to walk around with this mindset that this is how it should be. It's put us in a position where we're the lion saying the jungle should move by my command. So many of us are in business going, this is how it should be. The jungle has a whole bunch of different causations, creating these unpredictable acts that what allows you to be the king of that jungle is your ability to adapt to that jungle, not to go into the jungle and say, well, the gazelle should at least give me one per day, and the river should run every week with no pollution, and I should never have to deal with an alligator another day of my goddamn life. The reality is that if you wish to be a king of something like the jungle, that means you're a master at adapting. And so the reality is that what Court was implying earlier is a lot of us are getting into business, but we're not adapting, we're wishing. We're wishing the world works the way we want it to work, as opposed to adapting the way the world is. And so one of the values of history, if you read history correctly, because you can get caught in a perspective distortion, but if you read history correctly, what you're looking for is evidence of how the world really works. How the world works. How does business work? How are these invisible systems moving around me at all times that are dictating the outcome? And even though I have a story in my head that I'm trying to play out, I'm still a victim to the system that's been here before me and after me, right? So it's like, and I had a scripture back in I think a couple of classes ago, and it said that most people only focus on the things they see, which is temporary, but they don't focus on the things they cannot see, which is forever. And in business, there's more things you cannot see that have greater impact upon you than the things you see. So all the lessons I've been teaching in this last 2 weeks has been driven around the things you can't see. So, like, for example, whether it's perspective, emergence, whether it was inertia, whatever I'm teaching each class, these are invisible systems that will be here way after us. And if you don't learn how to adapt to them, because upon adapting, you learn to utilize and actually capitalize on systems. I put up a little piece in the class on a Facebook page, and it said one of the sayings in this video, it said, life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger, right? Mm-hmm. And the reality is that what it's telling you is that, which, by the way, you're going to find later on in this class, when somebody admits to you life is really, really rough, they're just sharing that they're weak. And that's hard. I know that's hard for you if you're a common person online listening to me right now. You're like, oh, that's judgmental. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm not trying to, the reality is that when you're trying to make decisions every day and make calls, you got to see things for what it is. All this, what it should be, once again, you're a should person. They should be this and they should be that. Life has got a lot of aristocracy attached to it. A lot of aristocracy. Not complete aristocracy, but there's a lot of aristocracy, which means that we're in a world where you got to know who you sit in front of. And if somebody sitting in front of me, the first thing they're like, man, this life is so rough on me. and then you next 5 minutes you want to play like you're the hardest cat in the city, I know I'm talking to a weak dude who's trying to play like they hard. Right? Matter of fact, a lot of gangsters and hood dudes are very fragile and weak people, but they wear the mask to protect because they hide behind their own mask. And so a lot of times when I'm negotiating with somebody and somebody goes, man, life is really, really rough. I've literally told people before, listen, do me a favor, don't negotiate with me. You're not qualified. You're just not strong enough. And it's because you've already told me how weak you are, because for everything you said to me, I listened to the opposite side of it. And the opposite side gave me a decoding on who's sitting in front of me. So, Shabisha, we got a lot to cover today. This first scripture is just to warm us up. I'm not scripture. God, did I say scripture? Wow. This cat, he got me. He got me. Well, no, before we jump into perspective, I want to talk about perspective real quick before. I want to just address it from 3 different quick angles. Real quick, another point I want to mention. So I heard a lot of people, the last session, because the reason I had nothing to say, because I'm about to say everything, is because, but there was a point where there was this kind of inertia towards being me or being natural or being organic or being yourself. You know what is default for human beings? Our absolute organic default for us? Poverty. If you look at human history, poverty is our natural default state of being. So if you want to be true to yourself and be comfortable and just be you, just get comfortable with the other part that goes along with that. You know, human beings, most animals live in poverty. Human beings, all the way up to the last 60 years, have lived in pure poverty. Mm-hmm. And yet, when you do what you're naturally comfortable doing, have all your natural reactions and natural fight, freeze, and flight, and natural ways of, I don't feel like doing this, I feel like doing this, and this is what makes me happy, and this is what doesn't make me happy, and I'm just staying true to myself, just know that that is the path of poverty. Our natural default state of being, meaning that if you want to do this, have resources shit, you're going to have to do some shit you don't like. It's just that fucking simple. This game, you just don't sign up to be an adult to have a house and have kids and want to do you. Do you is not a fucking kids instantly tell you don't exist like that no more. I try to have so many peaceful moments to myself at my house, and all I hear is dad. Yeah. and it's not her fault. That's what she's supposed to do. It's my framing, my mental framing that's causing a problem. So we're going to get into perspectives. So perspectives is a powerful ass tool. I'm going to give you a kind of briefing. I'll tell you a couple of stories, and then we'll jump into it. WNBA. There was the rookie team played the USA Olympic team. Rookie team whooped the USA Olympic team's ass. Mm-hmm. And on that rookie team was Caitlin Clark and the bad sister? What's her name? Angel Reese was on the team. So they asked the coach of the Olympics team, how come you didn't have them on the Olympic teams? Because they have the highest draw, because you guys ain't making no money. Mm-hmm. So, but when they show up, places get packed. Mm-hmm. She said, well, they wasn't as good as they hadn't arrived at that point yet. Stay with me. When they first came into the league, all the players were shitting on them. You know, they not as technical and as good as we, because I got the skills, and I was doing this before they even arrived. And what Stephen A. Smith was trying to point out something, he was trying to give them a perspective lesson, which is, look, when Magic and Bird came into the league, you know they weren't the best. Kareem was in the league. Kareem was the killer of the league. But the league is really about a story. The story is how you athletes get paid. Without a story, you just athletic. Right? And so at the end of the day, when these two people came into the league, they were able to service a story which you all can eat off of. But the reason the players can see it is because they're so deeply in the game, they develop perspective bias. You see where I'm going with this? They weren't bad people. They're not dumb people. They play and they work out every day. They sacrifice a large portion of their life to be there. They fought out all the competition so they can achieve this goal by doing this specific thing. And the people from the outside who's looking at it who's standing on the shore watching the boat go by, they're going, yeah, I understand that, but in order for your boat to continue to sail, these things got to happen. So when the players started to argue with the competition on the outside, they were having perspective differences. Mm-hmm. Now, as an entrepreneur, you got to learn how to see all those perspectives, all of them, and then figure out what the play is. But it's a very, very common thing. The other day, I'm jumping next story. The other day, I go to the gym. This is one of the moments where I felt really good. I'm gonna do a little status flexing. So, I'm about to turn 57, but I've been saying 57 for the last 3 months. Anytime I get close, I'm already there. So, saw a group of men around me. They were 52, 54, somewhere in their early 50s. Like 3 men around me, and they're all athletic. They're not like 50-year-old dad bods. These dudes, like some dudes bench press like, whoa, scary. And so I'm squatting. And when I squat as far as I can go down, I come up, right? And at the time I'm working out, I'm doing high reps of 10 with 255 on my back, just squatting, right? Bar on my back, squatting. And I put the rack on the bar and I'm talking to them, grab the rack, 10 more, talk to them. And one of the brothers said to me, how the fuck are you doing that? I said, what? He said, like squatting at that depth at your age. And the other dude's like, yeah, bro, I don't know what the fuck are you doing steroid? How the fuck are you doing that, right? This is alignment with my doctor also told me. She's like, because I showed my doctor me squatting 315 to the floor, like comfortably. And she's like, yo, how are you doing that? Like, it's going to cause arthritis or something. Like she said something, like, doctor said something. When she says something, you might say, oh, that's funny. But what I heard was perspective distortion. When those guys said, how are you doing this? Now, mind you, when I first started, I started at Shakina's gym with 145, and I was asking God to help me and going home to take medication on the side. And because it hurt that bad when I first started. And now I'm to like 255, comfortable, no pain. It feels good. Actually, sometimes when I'm feeling sore in somewhere like my knees, my ankles, after I do squats, I feel good because it feels like it just tightens everything up, right? Okay. So I tell him a shaman this story. I say, yeah, the guy said, how are you doing this? I can't do this. He goes, well, for them, that's the truth. And for you, that's the truth. Meaning that whatever your perspective is your truth. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's true. It has no alignment to the fact. Whatever perspective you hold on, whatever you hold it on, that's your limiting truth. Got the Samsung ring. It's an amazing ring. This ring is, you see how light it? Can't even hardly hear it, so light, right? Almost invisible. The first thing they said when they got the ring, when I was looking at it, they said, don't wear the ring to the gym to lift weights. And I realized that when they said that, they have to make a general statement for a general perspective. Mm-hmm. Keyword, perspective. They can't speak to everybody, right? They can't say, because they got to think about that person who just does dumb shit, the ring gets hooked, and they fucking break their finger, right? They got to think about the extreme. Because they're business thinking about protecting themselves. So I understand that they have a particular perspective. So guess what? I go to the gym and my brain going, I brought me some gloves, weightlifting gloves, right? I'll send everybody these weightlifting gloves to protect my ring just in case. So, because they said don't wear it to the gym. I get to the gym, I realize this ring don't come close to my fucking weightlifting. And most of the weights I lift don't have that kind of lift. They don't, like when I grab the actual weights where the ring could touch, they're rubber, right? And when I do arm extensions, I'm using the back of my hand, so it's far from my ring. When I do pull-ups, the way I do pull-ups, my ring is, I'm using this part of my hand, right? So I realized I went to the gym and went to test a fear, because what allowed me to say I'm a question the fear, because I realized that the person who was advising me, even though it was a big corporation, had a limited perspective. When you're moving in business, you're going to hear a lot of shit every day. You got to know when it's a perspective and when it's a fact. Because a lot of perspectives will be echoed by people around you. You may even hear majority of the people say the same thing and realize there was a lady, I think I put the podcast in our Facebook group as well. And she said that when scientists try to understand how long you can work out, they were looking at the general masses. The problem with this is the general masses don't work out. So when they do pull the sample sizes, the data is distorted because they're pulling from a source that doesn't share that perspective. You see where I'm going with this? So when you're out there listening to even technical data, even my doctor saying, you could. What happens is the way you can catch arthritis from weightlifting is not warming up. If you go straight into heavy lifting, you'll damage those joints before you know you got the goddamn arthritis, right? But as long as you're warming up, you're supposed to lift as heavy as possible. Women, have you ever heard as women, don't lift heavy because you're going to become muscular? Mm-hmm. That is not true. That's a myth. That's a whole bunch of women who ain't never been muscular telling you not to be muscular. Meaning that wrong perspective. Talk to doctors. They tell you if you want to not only age well and even go through menopause better, heavy weightlifting. Matter of fact, if you want to lose weight, light weightlifting is going to slow the process down to the point it becomes defeating. If you lift heavy, you build the muscles. The muscles is what eats the fucking fat. Like without the muscles, you're literally, it's almost like me and you run a mile and I burn 600 calories and you burn 50 because you ain't got no muscles. And by default, if you don't develop your muscles after a certain age, you're losing muscles as it is. So you'll have a thick ass body and all that's fat with a little bitty muscle on the inside. Right? And so the reality is that if you want to keep your body, so as you get older, you don't worry about weight. You worry about your actual sculpture of your body. Because you can have a beautiful shaped body and be heavier than the world girl next to you that's twice your size. But this is popular myths. If you listen to popular myths, you'll run around here. Guess what, people? You got to take whey powder. Sorry, it's just what it is. I know. I try to resist for the longest. It's just you get older. When you're young, you get away with that shit. When you get older, you need your whey powder because you're going to find out real fast, underserve those muscles and they will underserve your joints. You'll be like, God damn, this workout hurts. But you start taking your whey powder, it's not about, you take this powder to make me hella buff. No, it's because you're making your muscles more efficient. Your muscles need protein. You take your whey powder, and because whey powder is some of the most efficient form of protein you can purchase. Mm-hmm. Last thing, if you're going to lose weight, you can't lose weight on a budget. I'm going to give y'all, if you starve yourself as an adult over 35, you're losing fat and muscle. But guess what? You might get to a place where muscle is going to be very important to you, right? That means you're going to have to eat different. And when you start eating different, that shit costs money. That shit costs money. Meaning that your bill will go to $50 to $100 more a month. That means take off that fake ass, ugly ass gold chain you think is hella tight, sell that shit, and go put that extra couple of $100 on some fucking food. So because I'm telling you, your nails looking good and your hair looking magnificent and your body looking like shit is not a nice trade-off. Balance that shit. And guess what? If you think I'm shaming, I'm not shaming because I have a partner who was 150 pounds overweight. He's 150 pounds overweight. And recently he lost a lot of weight. And I say, oh my God, dude. If I call out his name, y'all all seen him before. Amazing. If you met him, he's the most easiest person on the universe to fall in love with. He said, now, you know what's crazy about this? Before I lost the weight, in my eyes, he sent me a picture of him in high school. In high school, he was in men's size, maybe a size medium. Now, y'all know for men, size medium was small. He said, in my eyes, when I was almost 400 pounds, I still saw size medium every day. Mm. He goes, and not one of you motherfuckers told me I was fat. He was serious. He's like, nobody, he goes, everybody was so busy making me feel comfortable. He didn't realize I was so distorted, I was about to die in my comfort. Mm. He said, once the doctor helped me see my size, I cut all that shit out. Mm. So, fuck social justice. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's go.
The King of the Jungle.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fascinating story of 6 Muslim students landing in London in 1815, mm-hmm. one of whom kept a diary of his observations and experiences. Mm-hmm. The story provides a gateway to exploring the effects of bias and how to look at the world through another's eyes. Mm-hmm. Britain and Iran were allies at the time, for the moment politically aligned. Mm-hmm. From Iran, I think it's Iran, the students had been sent by their prince to learn what the English were doing that was giving them such power in the world. They were to gather knowledge on technology, medicine, military matters, and anything else Iran could use to gain an advantage in dealing with their neighbors.
So mind you, we're going to stay in that frames. Let's reread. I'm not going to go over that again because we went over it last week. Next slide. But I want us to kind of make sure this is framing how we're going to move forward. Next slide. So this is one of the Iranian students. Go ahead. Or Iranian students, maybe. I got to find out the proper way. Those of you who are at home, send the proper pronunciation so I can show respect.
Iran? Okay.
Iran?
Iran.
Iran? Okay, so I want to show proper respect. So, okay, go ahead.
As Sally discovered, we are not dispassionate, neutral observers. We bring our sensibilities into what we see. The problem is, most of us usually forget this. We are so used to being on Einstein's train that we forget it is there. But traveling to new places far outside our normal experiences can jolt us into remembering our train, seeing it in a new light, understanding better its size and shape, and remind us that not everyone is on it.
So key things. One is that if you're an entrepreneur, you have to travel. And I'm talking about travel places that don't travel from nice hotel to nice hotel to nice hotel. Because then you think that's the way the world works. Also, you have to sit in other groups, sit amongst other cultures. Because one of the things that you'll realize, like, for example, Shabisha, you mentioned earlier, what was the thing that could make you mad that somebody does to you? What's the first thing you said? One of the first things you said.
Oh, if you're trying to play me.
You're trying to play me. Okay. That is actually a perspective distortion. Because a lot of times my survival may put me in a position where it looks like I'm playing you, or that's what I probably should be doing right now, based upon where I'm at, right? If I consider myself in a fight or flight space and I happen to be talking to you, I may not see you when I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You got to be the person as an entrepreneur, business owner, to be able to know, oh, they're coming from this space, and then make the proper move as opposed to then turn on your emotional responses. Now we got two animals just going crazy on each other. Right? So part of what can empower us in a lot of these situations that will make you guys fight, flight, or freeze is really reframing things and seeing their perspectives. Once you start to say, what condition is this person in to make them take on that position, will allow you to go, okay, all right, I see your move, right? But if you don't say that, your brain will default, I'm under attack, protect. But as you become a leader, you realize, no, it's not about me, it's about you. You're coming at me to try to hustle me because it's about you, the space you, your frame of the way you see the world got you so fucked up that you think this is the method of how you need to move forward. So when I see you, I need to position accordingly as opposed to making it personal. This allows you to navigate in the midst of a war as opposed to when the guns go off, you become non-strategical and die. You get where I'm going with this? So positioning is so critical, but the way you practice positioning is by interacting with strangers, different cultures, different beliefs. And when you interact with them, I remember somebody called me the other day. A dealership called me the other day and said, hey, listen, can you give us some feedback why you didn't buy a car from us? Why did you go over here to buy your BMW? And I said to them, well, first of all, you have this one price fits all, and it doesn't allow me to have the emotional experience I need to have. He goes, well, that's just the way we are doing policy. Well, this conversation is over. At this point, you're not even going to hear me. But the reality, this motherfucker called me to ask me, but when I gave him an answer, he went into fight mode and started to protect himself. If somebody gives you advice about your business, I don't have access to your bank account. I'm not sleeping with you. I'm not even eating your food. So just receive the information and then shelf the motherfucker if it doesn't apply. And everyone starts looking on the shelf and be like, oh, I'm trying to see something there. Or that doesn't really translate to me. But for you to sit there and go into an instant space of protection is because you can't separate perspectives. You own the business. If you run any business like the WNBA, as a player, as a coach, or the people within the league, you realize that you got to know that you're in a perspective bias. That's it. When you have your own company, you have a perspective bias. And every day you have to work twice as hard to get outside of your perspective bias. Next slide.
Another story that drives home the point that considering others' perspective can substantially enrich our own.
That's key word. Considering other perspectives can enrich your. So you're not considering other people's perspective because you're trying to be morally good. This ain't a Jesus Christ conversation. This is a self-empowerment conversation. Go.
How other people frame something is their vantage point.
Key point.
It's not an unobstructed description of reality, but rather their individual perspective.
Pause there, right there. That shit's so fucking powerful. If you master this art right here, you can literally change the way. Okay, you ever seen what's the dude with the ring and the Marvels?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. This is a Doctor Strange. This is a real world Doctor Strange experience, power. You know, Doctor Strange can change worlds by just commanding a new world and using his ring, and he go to it from one dimension to another dimension to another dimension. When you master reframing, it's the same thing. You can be in a situation and it can all feel negative. Reframing can all feel positive. Segregation can be the starting point of freedom, depending on how you reframe it. Mm-hmm. If you say, they left Oakland, they took all the businesses away, that sounds like, damn, they left us. Or you can say, they left Oakland, they took all the business away, and they want us to get it started by ourselves. That's the beginning of freedom. It's a reframing. It's a free framing exercise. If you just start using reframing in everything, you'll have more control over all your emotions. Look, there's a certain point where your emotions, it's hard to pull it back in, right? It's like if your boyfriend called you a B word or if a white man called you an N word, it's hard to pull that back in. It's like, help me, Jesus. It's hard to pull that back in, right? But when you learn reframing, you can prevent a lot. You won't even get a chance to experience that side of yourself rarely. Like when things happen in my world, I get the first shock of bam, oh shoot. And then I start to go look at, this is how I'm framing it. And then I go, how else can I reframe it? And often my relief comes from my ability to reframe the problem in front of me. So you might say, this is gonna cost me $1,000. And he's like, no, it's not. Okay, for example, I'm spending 40 grand on cabinets this month. 40 grand. You say, no, that's a lot of fucking money. Okay, if I only heard myself, I only see myself do this, I would think, God damn, that's a lot of fucking money. It is a lot of fucking money. Don't get it twisted. 40 grand for some cabinets. I mean, I'm from the hood. Cabinets, just give me some cardboard boxes, put the shit up there and put it on the side. Or some milk crates, right? And load that shit up and stack them, you know? But 40 grand for cabinets. Okay. But if you think about how we use our space and the return we're going to make from that, that's a 40 grand investment for millions of return. Who would make that investment? You see what I'm going with this? Like, once you go from spending to reframing to investment, all of a sudden, your energy changes, right? Once you go into like, I got to pay for this car repair, and then you reframe it to like, no, actually, I would go to a bar and spend the same money for drinks. So investing this towards me having a better experience with this car, now the relief from now you just rushing to spend the money. You know what this like? Reframing is this superpower where you can just start changing the reality of how you feel, how you see it, and also your emotions. You have more ownership of your emotions because you're designing the world that meets your needs and aligning with the way the world works. Like when some things happen, like for example, if I have a hard day, I go, it's supposed to be hard. Some people are like, it shouldn't be hard. That's a different frame. That's all it is. So I have different mental health stability because in my brain I go, I'm supposed to go through this. When I go to the gym, right, I just said lifting heavy, right? So all these years I lifted heavy because my frame was, I like to be strong. In my early days, I want to hit a motherfucker in the mouth once. I don't want to hit you twice, right? That was really my frame in my youthful version of me. As I got older, I just like being a big dog in the room, right? Like I like being the strongest dude. When I walk in the gym and I sit on the bench press, nobody better lift more than me. If you do, I'm fucking up. That's how I saw it in the past. When I learned that lifting heavy weights extends your life, and so when you're 80, you don't need somebody wiping your ass and taking care of you. So then that means that lifting heavy is an absolute must after 35. So now when I push the weight and I feel that weight, it feels good to my brain because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing to have the life I want to have. You see where I'm going with this? But when I was lifting heavy weights and I didn't have that framing, this shit heavy, man. Mm-hmm. How do you mothers keep doing this all day long? See, it's different. It's the same person, the same weights, the same time, different nutrition, but same time, same weight, same everything. But the framing changed, and now when I go to the gym, it got to be heavy. If it's not heavy, I ain't fucking with it. But that's a framing situation. That's all it is. If you start reframing a lot of your challenges, you realize it's just been a bad perspective, a bad framing. And the reason you're struggling with so many different things in your life, like I talked to this dude, and he's like, he's in his 70s, he's having all these problems. And I was like, yeah, I stopped cycling because he's like, yo, I don't see how you're cycling all the time. I said, well, I changed a lot of my shit. So I'm running, cycling. I'm going running tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, by the way. I'm cycling, running, and I'm hitting iron. And he goes, and I said, also, I removed added sugar from my diet. And this shit's crazy how this weight is falling off. He goes, yeah, I'm cool with that. I gotta have my 2 cookies every day.
Every day?
You just interrupted your health with a story I got to have. As opposed to, I actually found out I like this. How can I substitute this with something else that will give me, or what other options do I have? The brain can lock in on a story, and you can be living a story every day to make yourself happy, to ultimately betray your happiness. See, when I speak about that weight, I was eating every weekend pastries. I was enjoying that shit to not be happy with my weight. And my weight had a bigger impact on me than missing a weekend of pastries. So I had to reframe some things, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm out of here, sugar. Mm-hmm. So it's reframing. Reframing is once you learn how to play with framing, as opposed to, it's a 5% chance I can die. 95% chance I will be successful. Just when you flip that framing, all of a sudden everything changes. Some of y'all live on the negative side of framing, and you just frozen in place. I'm scared. I don't want to try the. I don't know. They said it's just only 3% make it. I don't know. And there's other of us would be like, hey man, 97% ain't never made it anyway. I'm part of 3%. Let's go. It's 3% chance I'm gonna make it in a world where I think I could do it. Right? So once you reframe everything changes. It's a superpower. Let's keep going. Making efforts. Same slide, making efforts.
Making efforts to understand someone's view helps you understand their frame, their set of beliefs and biases that guide how they see their world.
So a debate. This is a debate trick. When you're debating with people, understand their view before you debate. If you have to debate, I'm not crazy. A lot of times if I love you, I debate you. If I don't love you, I hear you, and I just want to hear your perspective, and I keep it moving. Try to first, before you try to argue your perspective, hear their perspective to make your argument. Not to weaponize your argument, to see how they humanize their argument. Once you see the human in them, you can show up to compassion and actually move the conversation forward. But if you just try to argue your perspective, you're crushing whatever the fuck they believe in just to be right. And that just doesn't go far. So the first thing you want to say is like, why do you believe that? What must be true for you to accept that what you accept is true? And hear it. Don't just hear the first 3 words. Yeah, yep, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. You got to hear them and then speak into their perspective to nudge the conversation. You guys got that? Next slide.
The core concepts of relative perspective and framing have a broad application. Mm-hmm. When someone gives you something, an opinion, a report, an article, a plan, consider how it is framed.
So when somebody gives you a document, when somebody gives you a plan, when somebody gives you an idea, consider how they framed it. Okay, this is so powerful. Like, if y'all missed this one, and this is one of the ones where if you miss it, you're gonna cost you a lot of money, and fuck it, you missed it, it's on you. I'm telling you right now, lock in on what I'm saying. If you sleepy, get up and do some jumping jacks while I'm saying this motherfucking point. If you're at home, do some shit to just stay focused. People are gonna present their angle to you every day in business. To do business with you as a vendor, partner, client, whatever the fuck it is, employee, somebody trying to get you collaborate on a good idea, a new opportunity. Always ask yourself, how are they framing this? Not what you read, like point by point by point, but how are they framing this? If you don't get the framing, because if it's a bad frame, good ideas could be trash. And or underdeveloped idea, poorly well framed, is still a great idea because it may be under communicated or underdeveloped or might require development, but it's worth the engagement, right? Framing. If an employee sits in front of you and they're doing an interview, this is why interviews don't work. Because how are they framing the moment? They want this job. They'll say what the fuck they gotta say to convince you. It has nothing to do with what they're gonna do. That's why they say interviewing people is kind of one of the weakest way to choose employees, because the framing undermines the process. If a car salesman is talking to you, everything they're saying is pretty much bullshit. Because look at their framing. They're saying they're running scripts to sell the fucking car. They're not talking to you. I remember this a long time. This is Shakina when she was 23. She's at the gym with us. We all working out. Shakina's always been a gym monkey. So we all in the gym working out. If somebody got sense about monkey, I'm black too, fuck you. Anyway, so we at the gym working out, right? And as we training, this dude comes over to Shakina. He's dark-skinned brother. He's like, yeah, just listen here. This is before she wouldn't get away with this now. He's like, yeah, I got 4 gyms. Now he's there every time we there at 24 Hour Fitness. Every time we're there, this motherfucker there. I got 4 gyms. And then Shakina, she was pretty, right? She's working out with me and Kev, right? She's pretty, sitting there, right? He's like, yeah, so I'm thinking like maybe we could hook up. You could train at one of my gyms. She's like, for real? I put her aside and said, girl, you don't listen. Mother, do you know you pretty? Do you know this motherfucker? If the motherfucker got 4 gyms, how the fuck is he here? You know how much time that's gonna eat up to have 4 fucking gyms? He's here religiously training people all through 2050. Why is he not training them in his own gym? She's like, you think so? Right? This is 22, 21, 20, she was young. Because she was in high school, she told us she was not seen as a pretty person. So when the switch flipped in her brain, she's still holding on to the high school stories. So when the guy's talking to her, she's thinking, oh, you have that girl as your friend because she ain't that cute, and she get the honest truth all the time. So she thinking she's about to get the honest truth. And me and Kev looking at her like, you don't see this? His framing compromised everything that came out of his mouth. So at this point, I know the game is just showing up. Once you see the framing first, you can see the bullshit, you can see the truth. It will cut out, mind you, there's no foolproof plan. It's all about probabilities. How can you increase your probabilities? If you want to see you become more efficient in your decision making and reducing a lot of your noises, start to see the people in front of you frame. Hey, now you want to make a lot of money? Who's in front of me saying you want to make a lot of money? Oh, this person is broke. And they want to talk to me about money. And they have had no experience in building nothing. Now they want to give me advice. They want to talk about collaborate with them to invest in an idea. Or you have a friend who does horrible in spending habits. Now they want to borrow some money because they got this big important business deal. Consider the framing. That's it. Once you see the framing, let's say Court was horrible. Like every time I seen him, he was like, yo, we live in Atlanta. He's at the club every night. I'm only there once. He's there every night. And so if y'all caught that, you see I didn't say I wasn't there. I just said once. But so he's there every night. And every time I see pictures of him online, he got the gun, dollars flying in the air. And then one day he says, no, I got this big investment. My ears are numb to everything's coming out of his mouth right now. Because I'm like, this is how you move with your money? Or let's say you're a dude and you tricking and you done bought a girl a nice ass BMW and you drive a Ford, right? And she looking nice as hell. And then you come to me and go, Nana, I got this idea about money. I don't know how to listen to you, bro. Look at the frame. Once you move, a document sits in front of you. Look at the frame. Once you understand the framing of everything around you, you'll know when to lean into something, when to back away from something, when to bring a lawyer into the conversation. You'll know all that shit because once you understand the frame, which most people don't see the frame. You know why most people don't see the frame? Because they live in a should world. Remember back in the days when she was young, she was like, no, maybe you're just judging them wrong. Maybe they're this, maybe they're that. And I look at her like, Shakina, that doesn't matter what the maybe is. Their frame says don't listen. Right? Now, I mean, she don't move too much different now. She's different now. She'll cut you off real fast. But the point is that back in the days, it was that framing thing. So master seeing people's perspective, listen to people's perspective before getting into discussion. Learn to hear people's perspective so when they do come at you about something, you know who's talking to you. Go ahead.
So I think about like, you know, in the journey that I've been in Hope in the 510 circle before it was Hope, I was extremely optimistic. And I think that like the part of that perspective was like almost selfish because I had this naivety about judging people by the way that I wanted people to judge me. So it wasn't even like, it was like, yo, like I'm really out here trying to build something. I'm not like everybody else. Like I really want to like do better, be better. And so because I wanted that, I would push that off on other people and always give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think that that was probably one of the hardest shifts, was for me to realize that my intentions and what I wanted to do was not aligned with everyone else's. Because I think it's very natural for humans to want to think highly of people, but then it's also like, yeah, but y'all not eating out of the same pot. So you gotta be able to see the real. And that was a really challenging shift for me.
So go back to those scriptures he posted. You lean on your own understanding. And once you know how the system works, then you realize, oh, I got to follow rules. When you move to the system, you keep saying, well, this is the way I should be able to go. This is the way I think it should work. This is the way it should function. And this is what I believe in. You're leaning on your own understanding. Once you realize the system says when you meet people, there can always be a perspective gap. And you got to always understand what is their perspective. There's 8 billion people on earth. We do not share perspectives. We do not share perspectives. So once you learn to start looking for perspectives, you start seeing when some perspectives align, when some are different. You could also see your naivety to perspectives. Go ahead.
I don't know if I like these questions, but this is what's coming up.
Okay, you gotta make it quick because I got a lot to cover. Go ahead. Hit it.
Okay, I can hold them.
Huh?
I don't know if I like them. I can hold them.
No.
They feel surface. I don't know if I like them.
Like who? Like, you know, oh, no, okay. Yeah, that, okay, so to be very careful. Listening to people, because that's your perspective bias too. Well, if you walk up to me and go, I don't like you, I'm not sure if I like you, you got to know that's your perspective bias. It's your fight, flight, or freeze. That's just your natural reaction, your organic reaction, right? You got to be able to sit and watch and go into observation. So a lot of times, there's a lot of people that I love today, I didn't like when I first saw them. I just sat and watched them and was like, oh, that's me. It ain't them. Or it's me. It's something traumatic that happened to me or some story I'm telling myself. So a lot of times I got to look from my perspective biases. So a lot of times those conversations is, everybody in this room has a perspective bias. The day you stop thinking you have a perspective bias, it gets worse. So you got to always look for where are you misjudging the thing that's in front of you because of your perspectives. And when are you not understanding the perspective of the people in front of you? Even like, for example, I was talking to Scott. We got a project tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Tomorrow we got to go into a big room and talk to a whole bunch of people about some insights, right? And he wrote out in his paper these. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And he called me. I was working. I didn't articulate it well enough. But what I was trying to highlight to him was this. No, that's just true. What do you mean? The first thing I go in that room is read the perspective of that room. Once we read that room, we got to know where we're trying to get to. But how we get there, we may take multiple different paths based upon the culture of the people that we're sitting in front of. And like, for example, we have went to circles and Mashama and Danielle designed this whole presentation layout. And we get there and they start the first question and everything blows up. Because that crowd just had experience before we got there that translate our perspectives or the questions we have in, it changes the perspective. So then we have to adjust and find a different approach for them to go, oh my God, you guys get us, as opposed to just run that script. If you run that script, you're no different than white folks who listen to black people and then come show with these dumbass solutions because they don't see your perspective. That's all it is. So the job of like going to do insights is first reading the room to figure out which play I can run to achieve my goal, as opposed to over anchoring in an idea that you had before you showed up in the room to only find out your idea is trash because you don't see the people you're standing in front of. Like a lot of times when I speak to a large group of people, I write the key subjects I want to cover, And then I stand up in front of them and I start a conversation almost with the crowd. And then I lean into where I see the energy is kind of speaking, or I might cover something. If I realize people are looking at their phones, okay, move on to the next subject as quick as you can. Otherwise, you're going to lose them, right? That's perspective reading. All right, let's keep going.
Who is involved in this information, and what do you know about their vantage point?
What do you know about their advantage? So this is important. If somebody ever asks you to go speak to a crowd of people, figure out what is the need here. Who's going to be there? Otherwise, if you ever try to speak to a crowd and you don't know who they are, watch you start stuttering, watch you start sweating, because you know why? There's too much uncertainty, and that uncertainty is killing you mentally. So the more certainty you can gain, the more you can feel like you're having a conversation with the crowd. Keep going.
Knowing the factors that influence how a person frames issues helps you understand their perspective and how you can use it to augment your own.
Augment your own. Keep going.
Sally and Al
Twice. Yeah. Go keep going.
Experience of trying to understand their own cultures by juxtaposing them against other cultures demonstrates the value of considering other perspectives and comparing them with your own.
So a lot of times when you look at other cultures, look at your culture juxtaposing from, like, for example, one of the things that we've been in this battle with white supremacy since I answered this guy here, right? But a lot of times I just try to put myself in the shoes of different kind of white people and go, what must they be thinking for them to make certain moves? And sometimes you think, oh, that's how life actually works. And later on you may find out that, for example, okay, here's something that fuck you up. Do you know that historically before slavery or before this country, if a group conquered you, they just killed off all the servants?
Yeah.
Just killed you off. So when they say, okay, you guys are free, next day we got to kill y'all, right? They tried something new for the first time, right? Meaning that we were never in a world where everybody was holding hands singing Kumbaya. We were in a world where people fucked each other up. And you might say, well, this shouldn't have happened. I agree with you. But contextually, if you put it against the backdrop of history, it's the better of the worst. It's all bad, but it's the best of the worst. Because all of us wouldn't be here today if they would have just followed the historical scripts. Like Hannibal was so cold, he didn't just kill you. He wanted to chop you up in many pieces. He took all of his enemies and continued to just cut them up until he just couldn't cut them up anymore. Like when you read about real human history, we are cold. Do you realize how fragile peace is? Peace is not a guarantee. That shit is fragile. That shit can break at any moment, and humans can go south real fast. And shit that nice little grandma next door can be mopping people with guns. And y'all be like, what the fuck? Because when we go into that survival mode, everything changes. Let's go.
Namely, that you get a more complete picture of the context in which you are operating and where opportunities might be.
So another thing too, when you learn to see other perspectives, you're going to grow your opportunity vision. Meaning that if you say, I don't see a lot of opportunities out here, it's because you're trapped in your own perspective. Let me say this again. If you don't see a lot of for those of you at home, hear me out when I'm going to say this. If you don't see a lot of opportunities in business, you're trapped in your perspective. Going back to what Core said, you're leaning on your own understanding. You're not learning how the universe works. You're trying to force your belief on the world, and you don't see a way out of it. The reason you don't see a way out of it, because you're trapped in your perspective. When I told you that story about me being so hungry that my brother tried to give me some money, I told him, don't give me no money because I got to figure out how I got here because I'm not going back again, right? What I was arguing was I'm having a perspective block and I'm not hungry enough for me to break it. And when I got to a certain point, my brain was like, fuck this. I dropped that. I don't give a shit about this. And all of a sudden, I have no loyalty to my perspectives because my perspective is I'm on a long ass journey. I've never been to my vision top or even past my vision. So I don't know what the fuck that looks like, right? Like when you listen to Elon Musk, the reason most of us can't understand him, he's not living in our perspective. He's on another perspective. So when you're like, oh, that's stupid, he's wrong, oh, I can't stand what he's doing with this, shut the fuck up. You're not from his perspective. Once you get in his perspective, you might start saying, yeah, I do everything else and some. God damn, that man was kind. I can't believe he sacrificed his life to do this shit for us. But from your perspective, you're like, well, I would do it this way. You're like, when you hear black people like, I don't understand why athletes ain't giving money to the black community. Could you shut your perspective up? Once you start to see a broader perspective, I promise you, once you realize your perspective limitations, you realize that one of the reasons you can't see opportunities and one of the reasons you can't see all the money that's around you. Okay, another perspective. Watch this. Stay with me. The news got y'all fucked up because it keeps pushing perspectives. Oh my God, Oakland is full of crime. Businesses are closing. .coms are leaving everywhere. Let me tell you what I'm hearing from my perspective. Before there's a dawn of a new set of businesses, the old ones have to die. Oh shit. We about to about to blow up. Focus on positioning, black people. Make some investments. Make sure you're getting ready to jump on these opportunities. Leave them sad motherfuckers to the side. Right? Oh, Chevron left. California trying to go electric. I'll get the fuck out of here too. Like once you see perspectives, you realize they're pushing one narrative that will have you sad and depressed. But once you see the perspective, you realize it's opportunities. If you listen to the news, California's going to hell, crime. It's just, oh my God, shit. Right? Even homelessness, we got a big ass drug problem in California right now. But we keep calling it homelessness, which is a false perspective, which means we're falsely allocating billions of resources to solve a problem that doesn't exist. We don't have a homelessness problem. We got a fucking drug problem. But yet, if you have the wrong perspective, look at your spending habits. This happens in your personal life, your business, your personal finances. Perspectives is your fucking a superpower in making decisions. You got to have perspective clarity. We are in the beginning of a new business era. New innovations are about to pop off. AI is going to kill jobs. No, when farming first happened and they brought in all those big machines, the first thing motherfucker says, well, what are these people going to do? Because at one point we had a farming economy. Everybody worked on farms, right? Machines came in, jobs went away, and guess what? It's called industrial. The cars you drive, thank God for that shit. Then then all of a sudden, a lot of those industrial jobs because of technology. And then look at people living off of that shit. Now, AI and whatever's next, and it's going to continue to happen. You might say, well, no, I don't like change. Do you realize that nobody does the same job more than 10 years? The exact same job. Very few people do the same job. Man, you're always changing. I told Mashama, I said, he goes, yeah, but Mashama says to me, because me and Shama, we have the best conversations. He says, yeah, but people fear and hate loss. I said, yeah. Okay, watch this. Oh my God, the cells. You know, the cells in my body, they died yesterday. And I don't want it to do. It's just, they're not even the same. This is just new shit. I don't do with this shit. This is how y'all sound to me. As opposed to, I got new cells? Oh, look what I'm about to do. That's the difference. That's a reframe. Y'all saw that reframe? One is, oh, we're dying. Yeah, motherfucker, you dying right now. Right now you're dying. Or are you thinking about the new cells being born and you're growing? Which one you want to focus on? It's a framing. Perspectives. You see where I'm going with this? It's just hella fucking powerful. Keep going. We finish that?
This is why the publishing industry relies heavily on editors, and research needs peer review to be credible. Outside views combine to make a better product.
Meaning that when people make decisions, you bring in outside people, not because outside consultants know what you don't know. Outside consultants usually often are valuable, not because they're going to actually solve the problem. They're masters of the solution. A lot of times, outside voices, whether outside friends, outside consultants, outside businesses, they offer you a different perspective. That's it. When you start saying, I don't hire contractors because I don't like what they're saying. This is why you stuck, because you're probably stuck in a bubble. Anyway, every time they push you, you don't like that shit. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is, my passion is my instinct, right? I care a lot about the things. And I'm fine with that, but it has to be tempered. So there are two instances that in one today, as I'm sitting here listening, one today and then one last week, where one I was like, I got hooked by something, and what was really happening was this, and I was over here, and now I see it. And that was last week. And then today, I was really excited about something because I was like, shit, I figured it out. And then I shared it. They didn't have my perspective. And so their response was, oh, okay. But they it wasn't there. They did not meet me with that because and now I'm like, oh shit, she don't.
I make this really simple. Just kind of play on that.
Yeah.
If you're a great, let's say you're a giver, like a church, or you donate to people, or you help out, right? Giving without perspective strategy is trash. You want to burn out from giving. You want to be abused. You want to give to a lot of people and mean nothing. Give from your heart and don't care about their perspectives. I wanted to give to you. There's such things called a narcissist giver. I want to give to you because I want to make you happy. Say, motherfucker, you know I'm sitting here and I don't give a fuck about what you did. Or I'm going to smile on your face and be like, yeah, man. I mean, last week I couldn't pay my bills. Thanks for this $100. As soon as you turn your back, hey, crack pipe, what's up, baby? You're invested in my crack habit, but because your perspectives won't even see that I'm a crackhead looking for crack, you can give me $100 and go, I'm helping him out. This is why I don't give $1 to a motherfucker on the streets. They say, yo, you don't give $1? I'll be like, no. Why? Because first of all, I'm not gonna tell my child, hey, check this out, son, daughter, I'm gonna reward you for not doing anything. Now, if you wash my car, I pay you more price sometimes. I pay you fairly, right? I'll be like, yo, well, you just wash my car. I used to have this crackhead, he's coming on the block, he used to wash the hell out of our cars. Man, hey, you remember that? Hey, I paid him more than going to the local, because you come to my house, so I can give you a little extra fee, a little tip, woo, right? But one day he came to my house like, no, can I borrow $20? Say, man, we don't do that. We don't do that. He looked at me like, damn, you could sweep my porch or something. Mm-hmm. Because I got to send a message to my kids. This is how we roll. Also, I'm not okay, you might say, well, no, what if he was working and getting that money and using drugs? That's not my challenge there. I'm looking at a healthy society, which suggests that you should never get rewarded for nothing. Otherwise, you're producing entitlement. A lot of people right today are saying, I'm supposed to have this world, even though I haven't done anything for it. Black people are moving from a space of entitlement. Where do you think some entitlement comes from when you give them up a reward for not doing anything, or you graduate them even though they didn't pass the class? So now when they're getting in this business thing, they think people are just supposed to, business is bad. I want to put on my GoFundMe. No, motherfucker, figure that shit out. That's called life. So if I'm giving you something for nothing, I'm suggesting I'm down for entitlement. So then I'm getting mad when you get mad. You've seen people like the track runner. He's mad because basketball players are getting paid and he's not.
Oh no, Lyles.
Right, Lyles. Right. That's a kind of entitlement thing. If he understood sports, he realized they're visible and these companies are trying to sell a product. They don't give a fuck about you as an athlete. And if you keep bouncing the basketball and scoring and jumping hella high in my shoes, people gonna put those shoes on and wear them with their suits. Mm-hmm. And when they wear it with the suits, it's gonna become contagious. All of a sudden, everybody's wearing my shoes. You run track once every 4 years. I don't really give a fuck about you like that. Now, how could Lyles pop off? If Lyles took his wins and built relationships with all those athletes, and every time you see a picture of them, all of a sudden, Kraft will call him like, hey, listen, we're selling these instant noodles. We was wondering, can you come in our commercial? Hey, Doritos, hey, we got this new commercial coming out where somebody's gonna run to the wall with some Doritos. You down for that? Budweiser, hey, listen, the Budweiser's gonna be jumped out of the plane, and you're gonna grab it and run and reel the flash, and you're gonna put you in a flash out for you gonna throw it, and now you're $20 million stronger. Right? But if you move in a space of entitlement, you wait for the world to give. When you at home and you ain't working on shit, and you would like, I don't understand why things are so bad, that's an entitlement statement. It's really easy to solve the problem. What are we not doing to make shit so bad? Mm-hmm. Let's roll. Keep going.
We're on the next slide, right? Or am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, just love this. Keep on.
Perspective often comes from distance or time. If you're trying to solve a problem and you're stuck, try shifting your vantage point.
So when you're stuck if you're trying to solve a problem, listen, this is problem solving skills. I promise you this shit. I use this shit like, I told you I use perspective to death. It's probably my most used tool of all my tools when I'm running my business. When I'm running across a problem and I can't solve it, I just change my vantage point. Back in the days when Mashamo used to do designs for people, and he was like, okay, I need some input from you. But it's like, I don't have no input. He said, do me a favor, go home and go to your house because I need to know how your design feels, right? So go back to your house and go stand on the table. Go get on the ground and look up and tell me what you see that's different. And from there, that I can use that to design your new whatever it is for you, right? When you change your vantage point in your business, like sometimes become your customer, become a vendor to your business. Like literally watch a sales happen and go, oh shit, I didn't see that. right? Why, like literally, or go stand in front of your billboard or your marketing material and just sit there outside and watch how people are walking by and who's responding and how people are interacting with it, right? And you're like, oh shit, wrong place or wrong message or politically out of alignment, right? But when you in that boardroom making those decisions, you won't see none of that shit. To change your vantage point. If you own a business and your name's on it or you created a name, right? Like a lot of times you guys have sucky ass names. But you won't even change it because you think about the day I created that name, my cousin came by who got in a car accident, she can't even walk no more. That's why I called it cripple cookies, because it just reminds me of my cousin. Oh, nobody eat cripple cookies, bro. Come on, bro. like you this is kind of shit that like it's your personal perspective is stopping you from moving to the fucking market. So change your vantage point and change your vantage point. When somebody gives you something, if somebody comes to you about your business and irritates you, get happy. Because you start saying, if it irritates me, why don't I see that vantage point? Because like, if you could about me, if you said to me like, hey, Nana, you know what you should do? You should go to the schools. And those dudes be taking pictures of all the kids. You should just go up there and just bum rush on them and take pictures for them, right? I thought about that before. I tried it when I was first started my first year. And I realized, oh, this would kill me as a business. Right? So when you tell me, I can actually have a conversation with you like, hey, first of all, thank you for giving me that insight. But let me tell you the insights and the challenges of that. So here's the challenges of that, and this is where I'm at in business. Does that make any sense anymore? And do you see a way, am I missing something that you can see that I can actually, do I have a distortion that you know an angle? Like, is there a way I can hire 20 people and that's all they do? It's a $20 million market that I'm not taking advantage of because I had a bad experience, like because me just going there with a camera don't make any sense, right? And then I'm going to dance with you to extract your perspective so I can use this, and then sometimes it's just you just felt you wanted to offer something because you care, and now I might then just stay right there like, yo, man, I hella appreciate that you actually fucking care, because this time you may have missed and swung and missed and struck out, but next time you might hit a fucking home run. So I need you to stay up here and continue to swing. Right? You see, I was watching every word you can pause me on because I saw Tennille going, say one word wrong because I was baseball bats. So keep going.
Fatality.
Keep going.
Examples of this are moving up and contemplating the bigger picture, moving down and seeing more details, or assuming the perspective of other stakeholders, customers, suppliers, partners, government. Many problems become clearer if you extend the timeline. What does this situation look like in the weeks, months, and years ahead?
So that's called long-term thinking. Real quick, that's the coldest thing. That's a simple ass description of this kind. When you make a decision, a lot of you guys are stuck in impulsive decisions because you're still dealing with the trauma of your scarcity or what you didn't have, whatever, right? Every decision you make is say to yourself, if this actually comes into fruition and is running full time, what will this do to me a year from now, months from now? So you might say, oh, I help. Okay, but what if you had to help now and that becomes a permanent thing? Are you willing to get that time up for the rest of your life? Like you have to start making decisions for that long term, right? Or you put your money over here. Is this a long term decision? Or is this a short term decision? And most of us are making so many short term decisions that we're betraying long-term objectives. That means that when we get down the road, we naturally fail because we're stockpiled with bad short-term decisions. You guys get where we're going with this? So learning to think in time, meaning that when you make a decision, extend time on that decision. 6 months, so you buy this car, you're making these payments 6 months from now. Okay, how do I feel about paying this kind of money? How much my insurance? That means I'm up to like $1,500 a month for a car. Fuck, okay, how much my money? How stable I'm with this job? Is there a reason I'm getting this car at this price? What's my return? What's the vantage point of this shit? Right? Once you start playing around with stuff, it will help you get back to a point where if you decide to buy that car, you'll literally be telling yourself, I know I'm doing the dumbest shit ever. At least you own that dumbness. But if you don't, but what the worst thing is to buy it in a naivety that you're making good decisions because you never played the long card. Buying real estate, if you don't master this art of this move here, oh, it'll kill you. Real estate is a cold game. Real estate don't give a fuck about your feelings. And so if you don't see these long plays and short plays and the difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking, I promise you're not gonna stay in business for long. Keep going.
Assuming different perspectives allows you to gain a more complete understanding of what's really going on. What matters is understanding the complexity and value of multiple perspectives.
So multiple perspectives is so complex that everything you do in business requires for you to understand perspectives. Employees, new market, customers, vendors, trends, news, chatter, relationships, love, happiness, sadness. Everything you do is part of a perspective ecosystem. And if you don't master the game of perspectives, you are often victimized by your limited knowledge of perspectives. Keep going.
No one sees it all.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple perspectives layered together reduce blind spots.
Come on.
And offer us a more textured and truer sense of the underlying reality.
Read that one more time. I'm gonna show you what that's the argument for. Read it one more time.
No one sees it all. Multiple perspectives layered together reduce blind spots and offer us a more textured and truer sense of the underlying reality.
Called diversity. That's why diversity is important. Not that racial diversity that you see in social justice, that piece of shit ass trash. Getting different people in the room with different perspectives to sit around and have discussions, layered, allow them to see what? Learn to see the blind spots.
Reduce their blind spots.
Right? Well, the reason so many of us have blind spots, when you hang around people who think all the same, we're just a group of blind spots. We just run across blind spots, whooping our ass all day long. We get the gossip like, man, this shit fucked up. You fucked up to you too? Yeah, it's fucked up to me too. Man, I want the same shit. You know why? Because we think the same. We don't want no diversity. Diversity allows us to see shit we cannot see. I remember a long time ago, I was sitting in the office. This is when I was like 19. And this old lady came in, white lady. She was just talking my ears off. So I went, this is fine sister in the back. So I went back. I used to always go to her desk and try to work on my game. It was never worked. But anyway, I was working on it. So I went to her desk. I sat down. I was like, man, that white woman was talking my ears off. Now, all the men be like, shit, she couldn't stop, right? She's like, yo, do you ever think that she doesn't have anybody at home and you're the first human being she saw? Mm-hmm. And also I was like, oh, fuck. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, I feel like I underserved the white woman. I should have talked to her even more. I even had more compassion. But I missed that opportunity because I was trapped in my perspective. A lot of times y'all walking down the street and y'all got a snarl on your face, or you're not speaking to people, I ain't dealing with these motherfuckers, or I'm tripping. And what you don't realize is that you haven't spoke to one new person the whole damn day, and you wonder why you haven't seen a new opportunity. Mm-hmm. When you come across amazing people, I've had people sit in a room who had an asshole behavior and money was in the room, and they didn't realize the biggest money was in the room who said hi to them, but because they were so busy playing a role because they had a perspective in their brain, the big money said hi and didn't fuck with them because they underserved the moment because they're stuck in their perspective. Or, woman, you just left a bad relationship which bred a certain perspective. The man in your dream is sitting right across from you, and you are already running a script on him because of your perspective, not having a conversation with this person in front of you. This shit is such a cold game. Once you master this perspective shit, you're going to realize, oh, this is a superpower. Most people don't even know this. They don't even know this is a thing. The motherfuckers who run around talking about be true to yourself are advocating that you just reinforce your perspective above all. Yeah. That's why you're so fucking depressed and things ain't working for you. Because you're too busy trying to be, the motherfuckers who want to be right all the time just want to reinforce their perspective. That's all they want to do. They don't understand they live in a world of complex perspective complexity. And so instead of them showing up to perspective complexity, what they're doing is they're just trying to reinforce their perspective, meaning that they are reinforcing their poverty. When customers come through your door, there's a different perspective that's walking through your door every second. And guess what you're trying to do? But my perspective. If you don't sit your broke ass, about to lose your business ass up, keep going.
Furthermore, we are constantly confounded by the unknown, which we must somehow make sense of through the lens of our own experience.
So once again, let's read that shit again. We are constantly confounded
by the unknown, which we must somehow make sense of through the lens of our own perspective.
I mean, when you go through your experience, Zach, that's the key word. You have your own perspectives, and you're trying to understand a world that doesn't fit your perspectives. So by you holding on to your perspective, you're slowing down your relationship to understand the world you exist in. You are reducing your growth and your development by over-anchoring your perspectives. Ain't that shit cold? Whoever told you that, go to school, you can be intelligent. But if you got the wrong perspective, you still trash. Intelligence with a weak perspective is still trash. This is why academics are getting blasted by the outside world, by the academic bubbles, because a lot of times they develop academic knowledge in their perspective and they can articulate it really, really well to the point that you don't even understand the words they're using anymore, but they're still trapped in their perspective. You can summarize because I got to go.
Or like you can buy your way into business.
No, you can't. No.
I'll just hire consultants. I mean, they're going to take your money.
Oh, yeah. But even in hiring consultants, your perspective of what a consultant does for you is what's killing you, not the consultant themselves. Yeah. Consultants doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's your expectation of the consultant is what's fucking you up. So until you learn to develop your perspectives, you are an intelligent dummy. Smart as fuck dummy. Next slide.
We all get stuck, frustrated when no one seems to understand us, or angry that we aren't making progress based on how we understand the world.
This is it, y'all.
This is when it is most helpful to remember relativity and refresh our perspective by stepping outside of ourselves for a little bit.
So your frustration with the world is not the world. It's your perspective. Lean not on your own understanding. Next slide.
Side note.
Okay. We done with perspectives. Hey, y'all got that? Y'all got the perspective thing? Did it translate? Any questions before? Because this next one, I'm about to hit some people in the gut. Y'all good? Like, Josh, this really might hit you. Well, no, you okay. But everybody else, you all ready for this? Okay. Let's hit now. This is before we get into the next subject we're going to is reciprocity, but in a way that I think we haven't really thought about it. But before we get there, I want to hit this side note point. And this is something that's very, very serious. Hit it.
Self-preservation. Sometimes the survival of a group can require the sacrifice of certain members.
Real quick, freeze. This is the principles of self-preservation. The survival of a group requires sacrifice of some of its members. Y'all get that? Anybody disagree with that? Anybody feel uncomfortable with that? Y'all understand we've been in war. World War I, World War II, they emptied all the towns out. There was no young men left. Imagine that today. Just put your brain, think about all the young men you see in all these cities, all these little parties, Miami, Imagine government says war and they're all gone. And 5 years later, most of them don't even exist. So stay with that first. So self-preservation, sometimes the survival of a group can require the sacrifice of certain members. All right? That might be you in this room. Let me be very clear. Go.
The survival of some species is
Josh, not now. This is an important moment. There's not time to be a caterer. Sit down. Okay, go ahead. Start from top again.
The survival of some species is contingent on sacrifices within the breeding process. Mm-hmm. This is known as kin selection and is a form of natural selection concerning populations, not individuals or individual lineages.
Read this here, keep going.
Many species of animals only stick around because individuals have evolved to display completely selfless behavior.
Read that. Many species stick around because they do what?
Have evolved to display completely selfless behaviors.
What behavior?
Selfless.
Okay, I want you to understand what he just said. The world removes you if you're selfish. If you want to survive as a human being, it requires to be selfless. There's races of people that are gone because selfish. Those who are to continue to survive are here because of selfless. There's hella sapiens that didn't make it because it's selfish. We have fought off all kind of animals and all kind of shit because it's selfless. Keep going.
If a behavior is beneficial overall for a population, despite its impact on the individual, it is likely to be selected for.
So let me say this real quick. I want to hit a point here. The other day I'm driving home. I'm in East Oakland. Okay, so I've always been an observing kid. I don't know why at the age of 8 I wanted to be, well, at the age of 5 I told my great-grandmother I wanted to be a businessman. At the age of 8 I wanted to be a philosopher. I used to read Proverbs all the time. I don't have no idea. And it used to feel so good reading it. Like, you just try to make me read Judy Blume. I hated that shit to the highest level of hatred. But I could sit and read Proverbs all damn day, right? And so I was always observant of like cultural trends and behaviors. And I remember when hip hop first started in the 70s with black folks and early 80s, we were a we culture. We would say black folks, we. In the 90s, that got flipped. I remember the campaign, it started real strong, and it went from individual I, what about me, I. You look at social media, it's all about individualism. Now, you go to the hood today, it's an I walking culture. You said, what do you mean? If you throw trash out your car, you don't give a fuck about anybody else. You give a fuck about what you feel, right? If you're doing donuts on the street, you don't give a fuck about anybody else. If you willing to park 7 cars on the block, you ain't thinking about nobody else. If I don't give a fuck means I don't give a fuck about you, I only give a fuck about me. Mm-hmm. I need us to learn how to think in foresight, not hindsight. Black people, we're becoming so selfish, we're in danger. Mm-hmm. We're becoming fragile. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck how many people you shoot, how gangster you are. There's no such thing as a lone living. Gangsters are the dumbest goddamn myth of our perspective I've ever seen. Because every gangster gets killed or go to jail. It's just the funniest shit in the world. And all of them, before they got killed and went to jail, they was all the hardest in the world until they got shot by the bullet. Not one hard gangster has ever deflected a bullet with their hardness, right? When the culture's, I'm so hard. Pow, 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 pow. That shit didn't kill me. Yeah, no, it did. It did. It really did.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
That's an illusion and a myth that we tell ourselves. Okay. It's so serious that our community is trying to display such selfish behavior. And why are we in a dangerous space? And this is one of the genocidal conversations I'm gonna have real fast. If you're not controlling your food, clothing, and shelter, which is your basic needs, and now you're displaying behavior that the universe will literally, if something changes tomorrow, you're fucked. Meaning that, okay, many of us move through life thinking that tomorrow is going to be a copy of yesterday. Naivety. Tomorrow is unknown, literally unknown. Meaning that tonight, somebody's mother could die right now. They could die right now. Somebody can go to war. China can fire a bomb right the fuck now. Right? A storm can hit or earthquake can hit right the fuck now. Anything can happen right the fuck now. Right? But this level of over leveraging certainty on something that is not certain is insane. It's like a motherfucker who runs a company or has a family but never saves money, but lives from check to check to check to check. And then when shit goes bad, they want to blame everything, but they don't see that you was at the club, bruh. You was having parties buying bottles, bruh. You bought a car you could afford, bruh. You over here, your girl's laced with shit she shouldn't be wearing. How did she have one of them Birkin bags? What do they call them? Birkin bags? What do they call them again? Birkin bags, whatever the fuck they call them. Like, why in the fuck she got with them fucking bags? How in the fuck you wearing Louis Vuitton, motherfucker? Right? But you living in a way because you don't realize you were fragile. When you was hanging with that person, they were moving in a fragile way. So when the shit goes south and they call you, man, dude, we lost everything. Everything. And you be like, damn, how we gonna help them? No, I'm not that dude for you no more. Because I saw in foresight, when I try to talk to you, say, hey man, stop buying the Louis Vuitton, bro. Hey man, you check out this interest rates over here, man? Hey man, have you been making any investments over here? Hey man, why are you at the bar at the age of 40 buying bottles? What the fuck you know the market for that shit is like 100%. Like, hey man, right? But instead, it's like we wait for something to happen and then we want to have intellectual dialogue. Black people, selfishness is a sign of self-destruction. It should go down tomorrow. If white folks didn't send you money during COVID, some of y'all wouldn't have made it then. Because you might say, well, I had enough. No, because then the violence in our community goes up and we start killing each other because we're just trying to eat now. Remember I told you, safety and stable and secure societies are fragile. So the way you get through trying times and challenges is you move in a selfless way. Now realize this, is when you're selfless doesn't mean you're gonna always get a reason. Let me show you how a selfish motherfucker try to give. A selfish motherfucker will try to give something, and if the person in front of them shits on their gift, they don't give to nobody else. When you're a giver, you give because you give. When you move in society, like for example, one of the ways you want to practice showing up to the world to generate increased possibilities, not increased guarantees. There's no guarantees in none of it. Everything we taught you in class, none of it's just guaranteed. It's a time this shit don't work. What we're trying to do is increase your probability. What is more than likely to happen for you, right? If you want to increase a better life, start off with this. Say hi to every motherfucker. And every time somebody doesn't say hi to you, say hi to the next motherfucker. Just rush to say hi to the next person. Because you got to train your brain to say that don't let a single incident take you out of your blessings. It's crazy how we're in a situation where our life is collapsing. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're moving in a space where I got to take care of me. I got to make sure I'm okay. That's why you're lonely. You don't know how to show. Do you realize that your psychological health, okay, human beings are not binary. We're not just survive and die or survive or freeze and thrive, right? We have a third variable, which is called human beings live for purpose. You know how you get out of your purpose? Volunteering. Mm-hmm. If you want purpose, volunteer. Stand for some shit you believe in. It feeds you not morally, like fuck all that. That's just easy. That's a low hanging fruit. Morally, you should get that from watching a good sad movie. Be like, oh, cats, right? No, I'm not talking about moral like way. I'm talking about if you want to get a substance where you live longer, you're healthier, your body functions different, you're psychologically stronger. It's when you help others. You're designed to be a selfless animal. You're designed to be a herd animal. You're designed to help other animals. You're not designed to just have to protect myself. When you are stuck in I got to take care of myself, you are stuck in scarcity mode, which is mean you've been in a spiral spinning downwards, and you're getting more and more and more money, and you're more and more fucked up. Mm-hmm. If you want to get out of that fucked up space, it's how you show up to others. Not sitting around meditating and working on your mental health and hiring your psychiatrist and going and napping and getting fucking massage and doing all this little earthly ass shit and smelling like fucking flowers and shit and ching-chinging all around your house. It's going to help somebody.
The temples.
Go help somebody.
Meditation temples.
That's all I forget to do. Just go help somebody. And all of a sudden, watch how all of a sudden it's like you develop hope. You start seeing, and when you start talking to people, you start seeing opportunities. But every time you work in a position, I don't fuck with these people. You realize you just said that's another step of isolation. Yeah. Like you cannot wake up in the morning. I remember back in the days when I was young pro-black and I used to walk around with dashikis. I am not lying. I had more dashikis than any black person in Oakland. I had dashiki and backpack. And I always had black books ready to sit down somewhere and read my shit. And I used to hate white people. I used to be like, I hate them motherfuckers. I was raising a little boy at the time. He went to school. The school called me and said, hey, Maury said he hate white people. I said, so what the fuck you want me to say about that? Right, that's kind of father I was, right? And then one day I realized I started suffering. The world started becoming so ugly to me, it felt like I was walking around a junkyard all day long. And it was the way I was framing the world. And that's why I realized I'm not going to hate another race. I'm never going to hate it. I can't hate a group of people. That to me is the most crazy shit in the world because you know why? It ain't about them. It's about me. If I love everybody, then I get all this love back. Meaning that, do you know how much love comes my way? Look, love feels just as good as sitting in the top restaurant eating your favorite food. And if you get that shit all the time, even when you don't ask for it, you know how you get that shit? Because you should put out love into the world. Just put love into the world. All those stories like, I don't do this because shut your motherfucking trauma up. And wake the fuck up and go build a relationship with the world and practice overriding yourself. It's like, okay, you might say, what do you mean by overriding? Look, when I used to get a lot of women, it was an exercise because it was more my Olympics. And so when I got a lot of women when I was younger, the way you would break the fear of rejection is just keep doing it. After a while, the rejection doesn't even bother you no more. So when would be like, no, you'd be like, girl, come on, seriously, you gonna tell me no? Like nobody even, you just keep coming and before you know it, she's like, all right, fine. You'd be like, I knew you was gonna give me your number. Where the first time you do it, the girl says no, you're like, oh, well, fuck you then. I'm just leaving. Right? But the more you do it, the more you realize, oh, girl, that's cute. You with somebody or something? Is there a reason why you telling me no? Because you couldn't possibly be telling me no. You would change your position. And that confidence even just translates, that just transfers the whole situation. The same thing when you work on giving love to the world. Everybody ain't gonna give you love back. Everybody ain't gonna say hi to you back. Everybody gonna be nice to you back. But I promise you, the amount of love you will get back in return will just smother. And usually it's one person out of 40 people, but your brain wanna talk about that one person all goddamn day. No, fuck that one person. I'm at the track and I'm running the track all the time. This is one Asian dude. He don't speak to nobody. I don't speak to him either. I said hi to him one day in his face. He just ran right past me, looked at me and ran. I said, okay, cool. Next person, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Something play with my kids. They brought toys for my kid. That's it. I'm having a good time at that track. I have best, even some of the kids coming to me like, hey man, you gonna come watch us play football? They even asked me to play football with them one day. I was like, brother, y'all gonna kill me. I ain't no way. The first day I run for the first pass, legs gonna be broken. But the key was that, the thing is that just seeing that if you give love, the amount of love I get from I'm talking about from little young white girls give me love. Like, usually in America, black men and white girls, bad decision, right? But like I'm at the track and everybody's talking to me because all I do is just put out love. Because why? It's like I realize that giving love makes my world lovely. But walking around with all this attitude and I don't, you ugly. And your world is too. Okay, next slide.
Sorry.
Give this shit 100. All right, let's get this rest. I'm gonna get a little bit into it. I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna do one slide, maybe two maximum, and we'll get out of here because the tunnel closes at 10 o'clock tonight. So we got to make some moves. So 1 or 2 slides maximum. So y'all ready?
Reciprocity teaches us why win-win relationships are the way to go.
So okay, I started on this subject already. Reciprocity. We think about reciprocity as like you give somebody to give you something back, right? We don't think about the nature. Like reciprocity is written in the universe before there was before whatever was the word, right? Before I don't forget what the fuck. What? Yeah, in the beginning there was a word. There's principles in the universe that we talk about that even play a bigger role in the universe that we exist in. Once again, these are invisible, but once you master them, entrepreneurs, we have different antennas. We're picking up frequencies that the everyday person can't pick up. Let me tell you when you know you got your frequency sensitivity is increasing is when you're hanging out with everyday people and you feel like you're speaking another language. They're looking at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then 3 entrepreneurs walk in the room, y'all be like, damn, y'all look like y'all talking about sports and a championship, like when Curry got off at the Olympics, right? You don't feel that same kind of energy when you're around the people who understand your frequency. But when those people leave, you'll find yourself in a room like, okay, I just love these people. I'm just going to enjoy the domino game because if I talk about any of this shit I can see, they can't see it, right? So these things I'm teaching you guys are things that if I talk to Court about this, we're having a fun conversation. If I talk to Josiah about this, Josiah's a baby in the game. He might be like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. And I'll talk to somebody with Josiah partners, he like, hey man, what the fuck that dude talking about? like literally, it's that much of a gap. So when I go to family get-togethers on like Thanksgiving, I don't talk about none of this shit because they can't see it because they don't. It's like if a nuclear scientist was talking to somebody who's just trying to cook some eggs, right? If he goes into like a level of molecule discussion about what's happening with the eggs, the person's hungry is like, I don't know what the fuck you just said, man. You want some salt on these eggs or not? Right? So, but for us, we understand for the level that we have to operate on, we have to see this stuff because this stuff is telling us, like with the wolf, where we need to go to find our prey. If you ever walk into the woods, it's just woods and trees and rocks and water and birds and shit and little sounds. You're like, oh, this is the woods. Okay, cool. Right? The wolf sees the invisibles. The bird sees the invisibles. Right? The animals see the invisibles, and that's how they will continue to generate the next generation of animals because they see the invisibles. The same thing for us as entrepreneurs. We got to see the invisibles. So let's talk about reciprocity as how it exists in a universe and how it's showing up. Let's go. Let's start from the top again.
Reciprocity teaches us why win-win relationships are the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Why waiters leave candles with the bill. Why it's a good idea to use the least force possible to secure an outcome.
Well, black people, read that one again and think about how we move.
Why it's a good idea to use the least force possible to secure an outcome.
I cussed that motherfucker out.
Yeah.
Did you just see where you went wrong? I had a check. You see where you just went wrong? I had to fight this motherfucker. You see where you just went wrong? These people make me mad. You see where you just went wrong? This game, once you understand this force I'm about to explain to you, you're going to realize how you're actually taking greater blows than the blows you're putting out, and why you're too weak to finish the fights you're in. You've already, remember, you're limited resources, right? So every time you hit somebody with words, energy, fights, I need you to show up at the end of the day on this, and you have nothing left. Or you're freezing, not because you actually don't want to deal with it, you just don't have no more resources to deal with it. This reciprocity thing is so cold, so that means you got to manage all of your outputs to improve your long-term impact. Otherwise, you fall victim to your default. What's your default, baby? Poverty. I want y'all to see this. This is game. I promise you, I'm giving y'all like this bigger game that's functioning around you all the time, and you're leaning on your own standard. You're trying to drive your wheel. That's why when I used to say being like Christ is hella powerful, it's not because I was talking religion. I'm talking about Christ was showing you how to navigate a world. The story of Christ is trying to show you how to navigate a world you don't quite understand yet. And this is why when you hear people on the lower frequency talking about, yeah, if I was Christ, I would do it this way. I don't need to hear what you would do. I don't give a shit. You need to figure out why it did it that way, he did it that way, why God commanded, why she, whatever the fucking phrase you want to use because you're in that space. You need to figure out why that went down that way. And then that is your lesson, as opposed to trying to reinforce your argument over that don't make no sense. I used to kill me when I used to sing churches, be like, that don't make no sense. I read that scripture, don't make no sense. I don't know how I'm going to really talk to you too much longer. Keep going.
And why a lot of companies don't permit their employees to accept gifts. This model demonstrates why we should view giving as being as valuable as having.
Wait. Giving is it valuable as what?
Having.
When y'all see this connection, you're going to realize it ain't all luck, baby. It's how you showing up to the world, which makes you. Some people are full of opportunities and some people are scarce in opportunities. And one of the reasons you're scarce in opportunities, because you're not priming the world to give back to you. It's the same as a tree. If you want your tree to grow a lot of fruit, feed it properly. That tree act a fucking fool. But treat that tree like it's just supposed to give you fruit and watch it die soon. Right? Keep going.
It prompts us to rewrite the golden rule to say, do unto others knowing that something will be done unto you.
Promise you. Every energy you put into the world, ask yourself, every energy you put into the world, call it a boomerang. It's coming back. Every energy you put into the world is coming back. And if you don't know this game, this is how I morally clean my behavior up a lot. Because when I start seeing the reciprocity of the universe, I start saying, oh shit, I don't want to deal with that. I don't need to see Nana coming down the street. I don't need Nana like that. So I started creating what I wanted to see come at me. And over time, my world became what I put out. And what you guys don't realize that many of you guys are struggling because you're not aware of how you're putting things into the world. There's almost a mental disconnect of what you're doing and what you're expecting are not aligned. You're doing these, and if I challenge you, you're like, because you framed it in a way. So go watch this perspective. You framed what you were doing this way. You didn't see how it was coming off to the people you was doing it in front of, which means they was doing it that way. And then what comes at you is that. Even though you think you're putting out the this, you don't see the break in your ways. So your perspective is so distorted. I'm saying this, but it's coming off to the person that you're speaking to is that. They bring that back to you. You don't like that. And then you'll tell your friend, but I only put out this every time. I don't understand why the world keeps giving me that. Distortions. You gotta gain so much clarity on, like, if you're ever around me, And you ever work with me or with clients, I would say, hey, Sean, don't say that. Why? Because this is what they may hear it as. Because I'm paying attention to their perspective based upon my perspective reading. And a lot of times I'm asking questions. I may ask people questions offline like, hey, like say if I'm trying to find out about Tennille. Hey, yeah, absolutely. He's about Tennille. Hey, what do you think about her? Okay, cool. I'm trying to get a perspective read. Hey, Court, what do you think about Tennille? Oh, Shamisha, what do you think about Tennille? And I'm building a perspective map on her. And then I'm going to lob some things her way in the conversation. I'm going to hear her talk about some stuff. And then when you say something out the blue, I'll be like, oh, she heard it that way. Mm-hmm. You said this, but she heard that. So I'm going to have to shape how I say this to her so I can get this in response back from her. You get what I'm going with this? Like, this is how I'm moving with my customers. I'm mapping everything out because in the end, what you put out often is distorted to, I said this, I don't understand why they tell me that. You know, I had this customer and they said this. You got to pay attention to where are you putting out? What are you missing? Keep going.
So what exactly is reciprocity? In physics, reciprocity is Newton's third law, which states that for every force exerted by object A on object B, there is an equal but opposite force exerted by object B on object A.
So real quick, let me show you how reciprocity works in the universe. Hit a wall with your hand. You put the force on the wall puts the force on your hand. You don't get to hit the wall and the wall go, oh. You be like, I didn't feel nothing, baby. There's an equal force for every time you put out something. Gotta remember, you're paying a cost for every force you put out. This is important because as you start to learn that, you start being more, you'll never move in that space. I don't give a fuck because you realize that's gonna cost a lot of money. I don't give a fuck. Even when you drive it, I drive differently because there's principle here. It's not saying that things can't happen out the blue. Somebody run a light and I don't see it, right? But I don't want that cost. I don't want to keep spending thousands of dollars getting insurance replaced, paying high-ass premiums because I got to feel like I got to do what I got to do. That's me causing that. Even though it might be their fault in the end because, you know what, he saw me coming. He saw me. I don't know why he put his blinker on. That's why I hit him. Why were you driving that fucking fast, bro? I want you to see the reciprocity again. Like it's all these invisible things that are gonna keep happening to you that seem random, but it's really, you don't understand the principles of reciprocity. Keep going.
Every force involves the interaction of two objects where the force asserted by one is reciprocated with an equally powerful and directionally opposite force by the other object. Forces always occur in pairs of the same type of force, and it is not possible for one object to exert a force without experiencing a reciprocal force.
It's not possible for one force to be put out without receiving the same force. If you gangster, you're gonna deal with a lot of gangster shit. So if you're a square trying to be gangster, you're gonna keep dealing with a lot of hood shit. If you don't give a fuck, you don't deal with a lot of people that don't give a fuck with you either. You try to like run little hustles, don't be surprised when your day comes when you're gonna get hustled. Because that's all, everybody's hustling everybody now. You are producing the work. Look, there's a certain part of Oakland I don't know because they're not within my reciprocity loop. They exist, I may have seen them in a car, I don't remember their faces, but one day I'm gonna listen to somebody say, man, over on this block, it's crazy. And you be like, I'm experienced this. As you tell me everything you experienced, you just told me everything you're doing. I'm always, man, every time I turn around, somebody's trying to hustle me. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. Let me get over here and lock down my account. You just told me everything. Once you learn to hear this, once you learn this rule, people will tell you and they never know they're telling you. And if you just learn to listen, you realize, I'm mapping everything. Oh my God, it's like everybody open diary in front. This is scary. And you know how to pull levers. You also see trends. Keep this just one last slide and we're going on because this got to be it. Next slide. Okay.
When I land on the ground after jumping, I am exerting a force on the ground.
That's right.
At the moment of landing, the ground is also applying a force that is equal but opposite in direction on me.
That's right. So mind you, if you stump the ground as hard as you can and your knees go out, the ground says, yeah, you hit me, I'll hit you back. I just want you to understand that. Every time you come at somebody really hard, I'm coming at this person as hard as I can. Can you handle that return? Go ahead.
The earth applies a force on me even when I am just standing.
So if you're just standing there not doing anything, there's a force being applied on you by the earth for just standing. Look, if let's say you're in a relationship with some people, family, children, wife, whatever, just any kind of family, right? How the family treats you is how you treat the family. What you get from the family is what you give to the family. That's why you have to apply a certain type of energy to the family to get something back from the family. A lot of times we don't get things from relationships and family because we don't know the laws of reciprocity. And so we put out this energy because we're thinking about what we want and not thinking about what is required for the family. If you're not servicing the family can't service you. So a lot of times when you join a family, you can't lean on your own understanding of what a family is. You got to lean on the principles of the family to make the family work. The daughter that doesn't wash dishes, then when it gets time that she wants to get a brand new car at the age of 16, nobody wants to buy her a fucking car. Then the niece who washes all the dishes, they don't surprise her with a car and she didn't even ask for one. It's reciprocity. It's not personality. It's not they don't like me, they do like me. It's you ain't did shit. What the fuck you ask shit for? The family's responding the way they're supposed to respond. Now, when the family distorts that, that's cool, but you just set that child up to go into a world and have fucked up expectations. If you don't put something into the world and the world don't give you something back, I don't know why you hurt now. Now you set up for wolves. You say, what do you set up for wolves? Because now wolves can smell you now. Oh, you want somebody to give you something for doing nothing. Oh, hey girl, I need a new worker. Word. You think I'm bullshitting? You want to ride in this dude's car because he's hella fly, but you ain't doing shit fly with your life. You know you a thing, right? Reciprocity is a cold mother. But if you understand reciprocity, you know what role you play in that car. All right, let's roll.
Man, don't.
Hey, man, I'm speaking to all my daughters of the world. I'm trying to give y'all game. Get the fuck out of the passenger car because you being... Okay, go ahead.
This force is gravity, but the gravitational force exerted on me by Earth is reciprocated by me through the force I am exerting on the Earth. Consider the tackle in American football.
Pay attention to this, people.
The force that the defender puts on the receiver's body in order to bring him to the ground is equivalent to the force felt by the defensive men's body during the tackle.
How many times have you seen somebody hit somebody in football and be like, damn, he knocked him the fuck out? Don't realize he also got knocked the fuck out. Like, yeah, he might still be awake, but you didn't see him after the game. You don't realize, like, this is why, like, a smart football player learns how to put force on you in ways that they use technique, where they use, like martial arts. I use least amount of force from my side, and then other forces increase the impact to make the force amplify the force I put on you, right? But that's why if you're playing sports where you're constantly putting bumps on person, whatever you're doing, you're paying a cost for that too, right? It's like if you're bumping Steph Curry through a game, you can't make shots either. You so fucking exhausted. Like you can be a high scorer when everybody else. When we play against James Harden, you know you're high because James Harden gonna do his move, step back, you're like, okay, got my little breath on. Okay, cool. Steph Curry, they pass you the ball, be like, man, fuck, man, what you want me to do, bro? I ain't got nothing. His defense, he don't need to get in front of you and knock the ball out your hand. His defense is his offense. That's reciprocity. See strategy? See how I'm showing y'all guys some dope ass strategy? This is how offense becomes defense, and vice versa. Defense can become offense through reciprocity. What you put out, you're gonna receive. Go ahead.
You can't initiate force without having a force put on you. For the tackle, this is very important. If the defenseman felt nothing, there would be no incentive for him to be strategic in the application of his force or on the receiver. And who would actually want to be a receiver if this were the case? If the guy who initiates the force feels nothing, much better to be him.
So, many of us are moving through life thinking, I can do what I want to do. There's no such thing. Reciprocity says you can't. You can't. You can't. You don't get to make those decisions. The laws of reciprocity, it's like reciprocity is like God's hand saying, you think you can do what you think you want to do. But I've already put in the system this thing called reciprocity that says every time you put out, it will come back on you. No matter what it is. That's why do unto others as you want them to do unto you is necessary, because what he's saying is that everything you do, meaning if you are struggling in business right now, look at what you're putting out. Meaning if you broke right now, look at what you're putting out. Meaning if you're not in a relationship, look at what you're putting out. Meaning if your household's fucked out, look at what you're putting out. Meaning if you're depressed and you have mental health problems that you're not really like because a lot of these mental health is really like framing problems more than they're like chemically distortions, right? Psychiatrists tell you like not most of the people claiming mental health is really social distortion. That's why
CBT?
CBT, yeah, CBT. CBT is a thing because most people are suffering from kind of behavior. They need cognitive behavior therapy. Okay. But a lot of people are going to depression, mental health problems, even suicidal thoughts. Look at what you're putting out. Mm-hmm. Even if this over concern for safety means that you're going to be scared a lot about the world. Also, by you being over focused on safety, are you developing, remember the world doesn't get easier, you have to get stronger. So what are you doing to make yourself stronger? Mm-hmm. Or are you so busy dancing with easy and comfort and shoulds, you're mentally too weak to show up to the real world. And when the real world knocks on your door, it frightens the fuck out of you. Right? Once you understand how reciprocity is driving this whole narrative you in, and often the only thing that's distorting that narrative is you going, well, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't mean if I scream at somebody, they're going to scream at me back. He was wrong. No, reciprocity says, okay, you scream at court. Court may not come at you. But next day, your episode will be like, man, fuck you. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, why are you talking to me like that? Well, that's how you talk. That's what you put out? I figure that's how we get down. Well, I don't accept that. Then don't put it out there. Whatever you want the world to show up to you, this is why if you ever see me, if you hang out with me today, Shakina been around me, Shabisha been around me, Court's been around me, nice to whole fucking thing. Of course, I'm nice to people, strangers. Hey, how you doing? What's up? If I see a worker, I don't treat workers like workers. I treat workers like people. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, how you doing? Thank you for showing. That's like this old white woman opened the door for me today, and I was like, ma'am, yo, seriously, thank you. That was really sweet of you to open the door for me. And I was like, really, it was from my heart. I wasn't saying that like, just say something nice. Because as I show that niceness, I wake up and every place I hang out at, everybody shows me love. Every restaurant I go to, Nana, you coming in? I'm gonna take care of you. It's like this love. It's like every place I go feels like a family. But I put out family. I call everybody family. You talk to me like, what's up, family? I put out what I want in return. So we're gonna go further into this because it's gonna get more and more complex about reciprocity. I'm also gonna I'm trying to map out to y'all how to solve a lot of our problems we have in our local communities, whether you're in Chicago, whether you're in the South, whether you're in Oakland. You're going to start, I'm trying to give you some of these tools you can actually use to solve a lot of these fucking problems. And you start to seeing how these things have to unfold. A lot of the popular trends, a lot of popular conversations that are out there, they're not moving towards solutions. They're moving towards popular culture, popular problem solving trends. They're trendy. They're trendy solutions. So, this is going to go further. We're going to hit 3 other areas. For the rest of the year, I'm going to just constantly introduce you to all these invisible principles that once you learn them, you realize these are super powerful tools. And when you learn how to use them, you learn how to call them, you learn how to see them, you realize you're going to navigate different than everybody. Your choices are going to change. How you make decisions is going to change. How you invest your money is going to change. How you show up to certain places is going to change. Everything's going to change because these are things that most people will, and when you hear conversations, you're going to find out no one's talking about this shit. No one. Like you might have heard some old sayings because these things are not new, right? And they're baked in our history and our culture. It's just that every generation thinks they discovered a new world and things are new for them. It's like once you realize we can innovate, but we still have the same framework. We don't get to get another Earth, right? We don't, like those of you who believe in the universe, God, or nature, you don't get to swap those out. Those are the same ones. And so you still got to work within that rule structure to produce this innovation. And once you understand that, that's the same market principles. Once you understand business market and human behavior and large systems behavior, you realize once you learn to move and adapt to that, you can get a lot of shit done. It's the person who says it should go the way I saw on television or the way they talk about on social media is fucked. All right, Court redeemed himself. I can't talk about him. That was an excellent fucking class. It's like I have no, because we talked about his pause all week. It was the best pause ever. But officially, Court is back on the map. So with that being said, have a good night, y'all. Peace.